TNT's live coverage of the Sharpie 500 continues from Bristol, Tennessee. For some guys, this tight, traffic-filled half-mile track has never looked so small, while for others, the opportunity has never been this big. Just 3 races remain in the race to the chase for the Nextel Cup. Tonight, it roars on for 500 laps on the high-banked half-mile Bristol Motor Speedway. 160,000 fans. They got here early. They will stay here late. They're rooting for their favorite driver. The sparks will fly. Let's take you trackside and join the pre-race ceremonies at Bristol.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for today's invocation? Would you please rise for today's invocation to be delivered by Beth Yarborough of the Jonesboro Presbyterian Church?
Please pray with me. Almighty God, creator, maker of days, and crafter of lives, against the backdrop of the celebration of the events of this day, we pray to you, O God, whose power is evident in all that you have created. To you, O Lord, whose power is more than the propulsion of jets flying in formation. To you, whose power is greater than the roar of gathered engines racing for the finish line. We pray today for your safekeeping of all who are gathered here, especially our drivers. We have traveled many paths to be here, but in our vast differences, we are bound together in one undeniable commonality, one united, urgent desire for peace. Peace in our lives and peace in our world. To that end, we pray for the grace to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with you. Amen.
Please remain standing for the presentation of colors by the Air Force Combat Climatology Center of Asheville, North Carolina. And please join in the singing of our national anthem with the children of Motor Racing Outreach.
And some very proud parents talking to some of the drivers in the garage area before the race. They were more nervous about the national anthem than they were about 500 laps here at the half-mile Bristol Motor Speedway. Let's check back out on the grid with Marty.
The best national anthem in the whole series, and Tony Stewart's been pretty electrifying himself. You feel the excitement building here. 2 wins in the last 6 races. Is the car good enough for another win tonight, Tony?
I hope so. I mean, Zippy and all the guys on the Home Depot team, you know, brought another good car. I mean, this is the race where we normally get going good. So, you know, hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully get this thing to the front again. Tony
Stewart making career start number 200 tonight. Bill?
Marty, there have been 87 Nextel Cup races at Bristol. In the spring of 2001, Elliott Sadler won from 38th, the deepest in the field any winner has ever started here. Where will the winner come from tonight? We are 7 minutes away from the green flag for the Sharpie 500. The excitement builds in the stands, 160,000 strong. On pit road, the final moments of calm for driver and crew. 7 minutes from now, racing returns to its deepest roots, the best in the business on the biggest short track anywhere. And now it's time to send it way up there to the guys that are sky high, ready to call the Sharpie 500. Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach, and Benny Parsons. Enjoy it, you guys.
We didn't realize that no being afraid of heights was a prerequisite for this job when we took it to come here. Bill, if you can't feed off the energy here at Bristol, you can't get excited about a race anywhere. This crowd is charged up, and we're ready to go. Benny's a former winner here. He wants to talk real estate and some delicate negotiations over property that can make or break her night.
It's just those few feet going down in the corners, turns 1 and turn 3. The car on the inside is dependent on that guy on the outside to give him room. As Michael Waltrip gives a 21 car Ricky Rudd room. And we'll see this all night long. The car on the outside, 19, Jeremy Mayfield gives Kevin Harvick room. But later in the race, and if that leader comes up behind to lap these cars, we'll see tougher negotiations. We'll see all these guys coming down in front. The rear guys going to hit them in the rear. They're going to back in the wall, and then all parties going to be angry.
All these reality shows are all the rage on television. We've kind of got our own version of a racing reality show here tonight, Wally, where somebody might get voted off the island.
Yeah, this is Bristol. I mean, you're going to bump, you're going to rub, guys are going to be mad, guys are going to be shoving, there's going to be a lot of finger pointing, and that's just in the booth here. But I'll tell you what, when they looked at the point system on this deal, the new point system, all the drivers and all the crew chiefs, I think, looked at Bristol. This is the one they're worried about. They're sweating it. They want to get out of here and be lucky and not lose a lot of points.
So the record for cautions here is 20. The average is 9.
I'll have the over-under at 12.
The over-under at 12 for caution flags. All right. The energy, the intensity, the excitement that is NASCAR racing at Bristol is about to be unleashed before some 160,000 fans. Let's go trackside for the command to start engines.
For the words we've all been waiting for, Sharpie 500 Grand Marshal Linda Fabry.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Fans have been coming in since early this morning. They've filled the campground since early this week. And all ready to see 500 laps of racing here at Bristol Motor Speedway on the world's fastest half mile. Jeff Gordon won his 6th Bud Pole Award of the season in qualifying on Friday. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, proud to sponsor the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Next Gen Cup Series race. Budweiser congratulating Jeff Gordon, the latest Budweiser Shootout eligible driver. And here we go with a look at the starting lineup for tonight's Sharpie 500. Jeff Gordon with Casey Kane on the front row. Kane's car repaired after a crash in practice yesterday. No laps in the final practice on that 9 car. He'll start cold turkey.
Has to be a little bit of apprehension in his camp. 40 car Sterling Martin, his best start of the year. 3rd spot.
Just heard from Tony Stewart. He's going to share row number 3 with Jamie McMurray. Jamie finished 3rd this race 1 year ago. One of those guys in the race to the chase.
Another guy on the inside, Mark Martin, has been unbelievable the last 3 or 4 races. Can he continue here at Bristol on Saturday night?
Row 5, it's Jeremy Mayfield and Greg Biffle, last week's winner up in Michigan. Mayfield, 10th place here a year ago. He could use that. Another one of those guys in that race to the chase. The outsiders, as it were.
And Jimmy Johnson. Oh, he's got to stop the bleeding. 3 straight. He's fallen out of it. Crashed yesterday in practice.
Rusty Wallace, 9-time Bristol winner. Finished 2nd in March. He'll be tough tonight. Dale Jarrett, 4th in points over the last 10 races, trying to get into that top 10.
Jeff Burton, 2nd start in that 30 AOL car, alongside his brother, Ward Burton.
There's Brendan Gaughan, Robbie Gordon. Robbie usually gets around this place pretty good. He's pretty fast here.
Brendan's car repaired after also a crash during qualifying yesterday, excuse me. Bobby Labonte, 1 career victory on short tracks, looking for 2 tonight, trying to stop a little slide he's been on lately.
Kevin Harvick, 6-10, 6 straight top 10 finishes for Harvick. And
there's the 2 guys that are going to be real tough tonight.
Kurt Busch going for 4 in a row.
Carl Edwards, 10th in his first ever Cup start a week ago at Michigan. He shares row 13 with Ken Schrader.
Jeff Green, Fastest in happy hour. Pretty good. Kenny Wallace, driver for Michael Waltrip.
And there's Junior outside of row 15. If he wins tonight, have to start 30th spot.
Ricky Rudd, new crew chief this week. Michael Fatback McSwain now heading the effort for the 21 Motorcraft car.
Scott Wimmer and Tony Raines. Got row 17.
Michael Waltrip in the backup car. He will be dropping to the tail of the field. He had a nasty crash yesterday.
In qualifying, Nemechek, Spencer back in row 19. We still have more cars. I tell you what, Scott Riggs had a good car yesterday. They found something in happy hour. Crew told me picked up almost half second.
And that is a happy hour, that.
Yes, very happy.
Mike Wallace in the field with Derek Cope and Morgan Shepherd with the final spot in tonight's field for the Sharpie 500. They're the guys who failed to qualify. 48 drivers tried to get the 43 spots in the field, and we told you about Waltrip and Jimmy Johnson. Ricky Craven also going to the rear of the field by his own choice. Is the word we get from race control.
Who was that?
Ricky Craven. We'll have to follow up on that and find out what's up there. So there we go. The 3 parade and pace laps underway before the green flag. Let's check down on pit road before things get really noisy down there. Go ahead, Marty.
That's a good point, Alan. A story real quick of 2 guys in the championship heading in opposite directions. Matt Kenseth has been running great lately. He has 5 straight finishes of 6 or better here at Bristol, driving his oldest race car and one of his favorite race cars, so the car is very good. Meanwhile, Bobby Labonte, 9th in the championship standings, just 13 points ahead of 11th place Jeremy Mayfield. Told me his car just a moment ago, not very good, but he's confident in the changes they made this morning. Matt?
Marty, there's a sense of urgency here in the Evernham camp. Now, both of Ray's cars are trying to lock down spots in that top 10. Last week, they swapped spots. Now, Kane is 10th, Mayfield 11th. Mayfield has never won a short track racing cup. Kane's never won, period. They know tonight their key to getting a shot at that championship is surviving. Both cars start in the top 10 tonight, and that's where they're hoping they finish. Dave?
Matt, Dale Jarrett and team have really picked things up over the last 9 races. 4 finishes of 3rd or better have put him 14th in the championship, just 58 markers out of the chase. Good time to come to Bristol, a place of much success for Dale, including a win in this race in 1997. Bill?
There we go. Very loud here at Bristol. Dave, I took an informal survey in the garage this afternoon, talking to guys in the top 15 in the championship standings. If I promised you a finishing position, would you just sit it out and go home? If you promised them 15, they basically wanted to race. If you promised them 10th place points, they said they'd load it up and go home. The guys that are gamblers are going to run for it. The guys protecting their points said 15th. No, I don't think so. Alan?
However, you changed quick, kind of like Superman, huh?
Yeah, well, good thing it's a short track. Didn't have far to go here, Alan.
There you go. Well, here it is.
Here it is.
160,000 fans in this most spectacular racing stadium, all gathered around to see what kind of action tonight we'll get, all heightened by this race to the chase. There is going to be some tension on pit road.
And the fans love this race. This is the most sought-after ticket in all of NASCAR and Nextel Cup racing. It's hard to get these tickets, but when they get them, they keep them.
And by the way, just a correction, the number we were given was wrong on the car going to the back by his own choice. It's the 37 Page instead of the 32 of Ricky Craven. There are the numbers on the night. 500 laps. Comes out to be 266.5 miles. Very slow pit road speed here.
And that pit window, we'll see some gamblers at the end of the race at lap 325, 330. We might see some guys pit and try to make it the rest of the way, hoping on some caution flags.
First things first, let's get there.
Yeah, that's right. But that's the first thing they got to do is, you're right, get there.
Half a lap from the green, inside the car, the driver just before the start here at Bristol.
I'll tell you what, you want to be, if you're in Robbie's car right there, you're trying to think about getting to the inside. That's the main thing. You've got to get down low because that's the fast way around here.
Butterflies?
The butterflies are gone. You just want to get going, and you're just anxious to get the car down on the bottom and hope you don't get run over.
Once you get inside that car and they say start your engines, butterflies basically leave.
Pace cars left as well. And we are underway in the Sharpie 500 at Bristol.
really on the outside, hanging out there right now. He wants to get down to the bottom, believe me, as bad as he can. And now's the chance.
Sadler squeezing in line in front of Jeremy Mayfield. Jeff Gordon leads, Casey Kane second, Sterling Marlin third, Ryan Newman fourth, Tony Stewart is fifth. Then you get McMurray, Martin, and then Sadler in 6th, 7th, and 8th.
See, Biffle hung out there. And this is just like Daytona Talladega. If you get hung out just like the draft, you have to let them. Fortunately, a nice guy like Terry Labonte will give you some room, but there's a lot of guys that won't give you that spot so you can get down on the bottom.
It's
yeah, there's patience, like BP talked about. They're using patience now, but it runs out every lap.
On board Rusty Wallace. This is 10th place. And the race for 4th, Ryan Newman showing Tony Stewart a little bit of room on the inside.
Oh, and Jimmy McMurray at 42, a little loose as he exited turn 2. But a 12 car started to go up in the middle of the corner. Now, here's exactly what I was talking about. This time, Ryan Newman decided, I'm going to give Tony Stewart the inside.
Problem is, he's going to lose a lot of spots by doing that.
Rusty Wallace trying to hold his turf as well. Here's Tony Stewart by Ryan Newman, McMurray, Martin, and Sadler lined up there.
They'll probably have to wait until Jeremy Mayfield goes by. Then he's got room to get back in line. Unless he gets lucky and can get down there before that.
And folks, these drivers are just like vultures. They see a spot and they all dive for it. Bill, what about the 12 car? What are you saying? Anything?
A lot of changes on that car this morning, Benny, because it was 2 free in and tight in the center. The only thing they didn't change, the front springs and the nose weight. Ryan knew he'd had his hands full when they started the race.
Well, it looks like it's tight now, Bill.
So Newman shuffled back to 8th place. Just ahead of Jeremy Mayfield. Ahead of him, you see Tony Stewart now shoved up into the outside lane. McMurray's gone by. Martin has gone by. Sadler has gone by. Now Stewart ducking in the line in front of Newman.
In a situation like that, if you know you've got a spot, you're better off just getting out of the throttle and letting those cars go by so you can get back down the line.
So that is going to put Tony Stewart back to 7th place and Newman in 8th.
And we talked about the give and take. Right now, all these guys are being gentlemen. But the leader, Jeff Gordon, is about to start lapping cars. And as he starts working through those cars, when he gets up close to the front, there he is, and the cars that he's starting to lap on the state straightaway. When he gets some of those fast cars, that's when they stop giving. That's when they try to stay in front of that leader, Jeff Gordon, trying desperately to stay in the lead lap.
Jeff coming up in the back of Derek Cope's car, the 42nd place machine. As Kevin Page is pulled off track and is going into the garage.
And BP, there's one thing about it, too. You think, well, okay, he's going to pass me, I'll be the lucky dog. But the lucky dog will change every lap.
Exactly.
Matt?
Well, the 9-car Casey Kane crashed this Dodge car in the first of 2 sessions on Friday evening. He didn't get a chance to go out for happy hour. The Dodge boys came in early today, spent a lot of time repairing the right side of this race car and also changing out a lot of the suspension components. So far, Casey's not said a word on the radio, which is good. And if you're owner Ray Evernham, the other good thing, Casey was able to get down to the bottom and trying now to follow one of the masters here at Bristol, and that's Jeff Gordon.
So Kane and Marlin there working in tandem, trying to keep up with Jeff Gordon.
One thing about conversations here, too. There's not a whole long conversation when you're in this race. You push the button, you say a couple of words, and that's it, because that's all you have time for.
Yeah, about all you can say is loose.
Yeah.
Tight.
Loose in, loose off, or whatever.
So Jeff Gordon beginning to catch the tail end of the field, caution free through the first 17 laps. We'd had about 3 yellows by this time last night, hadn't we?
Yeah.
You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Four-car in the wall. Four-car hit the wall on the 2. Which one were you looking at over here?
Well, these guys were trying to
17, right about wreck. Who's that, 29?
4 is going to stop. We're going to have a caution. Caution's out.
Under the caution, it's on the caution.
Ooh, look out, look out, look out, look out, look out.
stop to get that yellow. I guess so. He wouldn't go as.
Okay, so I jinxed it. Caution is out here at Bristol. Jimmy Spencer bounced off the wall exiting turn 2 and then couldn't get a break in traffic to get down to pit road, so stopped on the racetrack. And now he's on the pit lane, getting service to his car.
He's up there in that high slippery stuff, especially coming off the corners right there. Not a whole lot of grip there.
I'll tell you what, he hit that wall pretty doggone hard because they're 3 wide, and we all know that 2 wide here at Bristol barely fits.
Tell you what, that guard stood his ground over there. On the wall, he never moved.
So Spencer in trouble early, bringing out the first yellow. Rusty Wallace is on pit road. Rusty had slid way back from 13th starting spot to 24th, and he's the first of the cars to pit. See Rusty coming around to this front stretch pit road. Remember the 2 pit roads here at Bristol, and you've got to roll through both of them under the caution flag. We'll update the pit stops when we come back under caution for the first time in the Sharpie 500. So impressive the sight, the Bristol Motor Speedway, where the Sharpie 500 runs tonight under the lights before some 160,000 fans. Race under caution. Here's our Miller Lite NASCAR Nextel Cup race fact. Drivers starting on pole position have finished 22nd or lower in 5 of the last 7 Bristol NASCAR Nextel Cup races.
I hope no one told Jeff Gordon that.
Well, he probably doesn't want to hear that. Jeff Gordon, though, won this race from the pole in 2002, which ended a long winless streak for him. I guess bottom line in Bristol is stay out of trouble, no matter where you start.
Well, at least Jeff Gordon now for 15, 20 laps will not have to worry about lap traffic again. But Sterling Marlin has gotten a 2nd spot by Casey Kane.
Coming to the green, none of the front runners pitted. Guys who did stop as we go for the restart. Rusty Wallace, Bobby Labonte, Ricky Craven, Jimmy Johnson, Todd Bodine, Scott River, Michael Waltrip, Joe Nemechek, Tony Raines, and Scott Riggs. First off of pit road among that group is Rusty Wallace. He restarts 30th.
Robbie Gordon, that 31 car, hung on the outside.
Yeah, he had a great start, and he passed a couple of cars. On the restart, he passed them high. A couple of guys were sleeping. And he fortunately got back in line. He was bouncing off of Dale Jarrett there in 3 and 4.
We also tell you that Jimmy Spencer's taking his car behind the wall. He was going to be held a lap by NASCAR for intentionally bringing out a caution for stopping on the track. And now the damage on the car requires him to go behind the wall anyway.
On board Robbie. Looking back at Dale Jarrett. Cool shot.
Good. And we can see Robbie Gordon had some trouble getting off that corner. We heard him get back in the accelerator, back off, and then back in the throttle. You know, that's not good. You got to get in and stay in all the way off the corner.
Those tires spin.
Yeah, oh yeah. Spinning forward and sideways. It's hard to get the power down sometimes when you're driving straight off the corner, and most of the time you're driving off the corner sideways.
And Casey Kane, our outside pole sitter, has fallen back to the 6th position.
Yeah, Sterling Marlin got by, then McMurray, then Martin, then Sattler, and now Casey trying to hold his position in front of Tony Stewart and Ryan Miller.
You can see he's lost some ground too. Elliott Sattler as they are driving away from him.
The guy with the crashed race car started the race with no practice laps on it after it was rebuilt. Falling back, not a surprise, but Matt, it doesn't look like it's too bad for him right now.
He is hanging in there. In fact, his crew chief, Tommy Baldwin, keeps giving him encouragement every few laps, saying, "You are doing a great job." He's hanging there fine. He's got a cash in the racetrack.
Joe Nemechek.
Caution, caution.
And Scott Wimmer. And Nemechek hit a ton.
I can hear that from here.
Wow.
Oh,
A lot of damage to that car, but we see Wimmer's car is is drivable, barely. There's no water in it, so he won't be able to drive it far. What's going on with the 01?
Nemechek had just pitted, which put him way back in line. He did radio into his crew. Man, I thought I had him clear.
Uh-oh, sound like he...
Yeah, one of those arguing for space things.
Exactly, real estate arguments.
There's Joe right there. Oh, that was Wimmer and Craven.
Oh, I see what happened.
And then Joe just
watch that hit.
Barely missed.
Bang! Oh my goodness.
That's a shot.
Oh boy. Caution is out here at Bristol. It's not a full moon night. I believe that's tomorrow or Monday, but it could act like a full moon night tonight here at Bristol.
So far.
As we look down on Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway, the sounds of stock cars echoing off the hills tonight. Right now they're at reduced throttle though under the second caution of the Sharpie 500.
But so far we haven't seen anything that's going to cause any finger pointing and anger in the pit area, because everything that's happened so far has been that driver's problem.
Well, we talked earlier about, you know, the cars being loose, or it's hard to get the power down off the corners. Well, I think that's what happened here with Scott Wimmer. He just got a little bit loose off the turn 2. Unfortunately, we talked about this too. There's other guys that get caught up in a wreck. Let's watch here. Wimmer in front of Ricky Craven. He gets a little bit sideways. Craven goes by. Waltrip gets by.
No caution, no caution.
Unfortunately, Nemechek doesn't.
No, he almost makes it. Watch this. Now watch the sparks off Nemechek's car as he goes across the 48.
Good job, Jimmy. Awesome.
And that's the thing. That's what you're afraid of at Bristol, is getting caught up in somebody else's wreck.
Still cleaning up some of the bits and pieces of debris down in turn 1, so let's take advantage of the extended caution to squeeze in another break. Back at Bristol Motor Speedway, live coverage of the Sharpie 500, NASCAR on TNT. The race to the chase, just 3 left before the cutoff for that race for the next L Cup. Caution extended while they pick up some of the debris and so on. One of the reasons why it's difficult here at Bristol is because the track is so small and the field's so big.
So on the caution flag, they're almost all the way around the racetrack. You see, that's the only clear spot. So the workers go out, they have about 15, 20 seconds to try to pick up debris, and then the field comes back again. They got to wait till everyone goes by. And they got to be careful to get up all this debris, because debris is what causes flat tires.
And with 39 of the starters still on the racetrack, all in single file. They're scattered a pretty good ways around the racetrack. Coming to the restart, Jeff Gordon the leader.
Coming off pit road, but he has to maintain that 30-mile-per-hour speed limit, so he is lapped and probably will lose another lap to Jeff Gordon.
None of the front runners pitted under the yellow. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was the first one who did. Some of the guys at the back of the line. Jr. was 26th. Then you had Kenny Wallace, Tom O'Brien, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Green, Kyle Petty, and Scott Riggs came down pit road under this yellow.
Labonte hung up there on the outside, BP. Maybe a while before he gets back down.
That's right. Robbie Gordon got by. That Dale Jarrett's going by, and Ward Burton. He's right there. Again, the vulture thing. Open a spot up. Oh, Terry Labonte gets back to the bottom.
That's going to put Terry in 14th. Dale Jarrett passed him for 13th. That's kind of the pressure point in line. You know, when you get the broad view of this Bristol racetrack, when you look down on it from as high as we are, you can always pick out that pressure point where there's a guy just a little bit quicker than the guy in front of him, and it kind of stacks the traffic up. Yeah, everything pretty well evenly spaced there. No real great pressure on the front bumper or back bumper of any of these guys, but You find that one spot in line where there's somebody right up against somebody, and they usually stack up behind him.
See, all those cars are content just to ride around the racetrack. But now we've got Kurt Busch. He's back. He is not content. He wants to get by these cars, get closer to the front. And he's got that very aggressive stance behind that car, letting him know, I want by as quick as I can.
As Casey Mears, Kurt is working on for 20th place. Of course, Kurt going for a 4th straight win here at Bristol.
And see these cars moving around like this, and that's how it feels inside the race car, too. These cars move all over the racetrack at Bristol. There's a lot of, you know, bouncing around and twisting, and you're doing it every 15-second laps. Go ahead.
Marty, what's going on in the 97? What's he saying to the guys?
Everybody all at once, BP. Kurt has won, obviously, the last 3 races here, all with this race car he's driving tonight. Jimmy Finney told me this morning it is at least as good or better tonight than it was in the 3 previous races here. Kurt very happy with it so far. He's just a little bit too tight, but still very happy.
I mean, the problem he's got right now, he is in traffic. He might be as fast as Jeff Gordon if he can get up there, but right now he's about 0.4 of a second slower, so therefore he's in 30-35 laps. If something doesn't happen, he's in danger of being lapped.
But don't you worry about Kurt Busch too much. In his 4 wins at Bristol, the earliest he's ever led a race was lap 359.
Really?
His mode of operating, they get to the front late, usually with a tire strategy thing, and then he never gives up the lead from there.
Ward Burton gets kicked up to the outside in that 0 car. As 25, Vickers goes by, Brendan gone in 77. We see Matt Kim back there.
There's a little bit of here, take that, you're not giving me enough room, because the 77 car, I think, drove up on the 0 car of Burton.
And just behind them, Matt Kenseth's back bumper got nipped by Casey Mears in that little jam up as well. Kenseth running back in 19th position. Dave, you got an update on Kenseth?
Now, this track may look symmetrical, but it acts very different in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 for Matt Kenseth right now. 1 and 2, he has to baby the throttle. It doesn't handle real well there, very loose. In 3 and 4, though, he can put the hammer down and drive it right off the corner.
So Matt trying to chip his way toward the front from pretty deep in the soup. Working on Ward Burton for 18th place.
And there again, Ward off a little bump as he came off the corner. But Ward realizes his car is...
Oh, watch it, Ward.
They started to argue over that spot, didn't they?
Yeah.
And look at the jam up behind him now. There's that Vultures thing again.
Yeah.
Mike Wallace is driving the 09 car. The black car in. Carl Edwards, 99, almost get together coming off turn 4.
When they get together in a bunch like that, that's when something bad happens.
Oh, there we go.
What was I saying?
Something about getting in a bunch, something bad happens.
Ricky Rudd squeezed into the wall, and the caution flag is out.
Side damage.
That was not the result that Rudd was hoping for tonight. Now that he is reunited with crew chief Michael McSwain.
Looked to me like he hit that wall off.
We're almost coming in this time.
I mean, these cars, you can't underestimate how much these guys are sliding around. And when you run side by side and you're sliding around like that, it just takes a little bit of slide to get up into somebody, and that happens.
Ricky did not realize that Mike Wallace was on his outside. He came off the corner like there was not a car there, but unfortunately Wallace was there.
That was a race for 23rd position, and Rudd and Mike Wallace both with damage. Now that's the backstretch pit road, and the leaders will come around to the front. Dave?
Sterling Marlin will go there now. He's already out of his pits. 2-tire stop on the right side. Air pressure adjustment, a little tight up. They're going to try 2, see how it works. Matt?
Mark Martin's in. They're going to go for a 4-tire change. Meanwhile, the car in front of him, Casey Kane, 2 tires. No adjustments on the 6 of Martin. To Marty.
Jamie McMurray having a top 5 run. The very last car on pit road, middle of your screen, he will be. A little free in, a little tight off, half pound in the right rear to fix that tight off condition for Jamie McMurray, actually in the middle of your screen. Bottom of the screen, Elliott Sadler, his car tight 2, half pound in the right rear, up on the track bar. Bill.
Jeff Gordon all the way around pit road to the number 1 stall. Car's a little free off. This will be a 4-tire stop. He's going to be behind the guys that took 2. Taking a long time compared to the other guys. He's on his way behind the 6.
And it looks like Mark Martin might have beaten him out with 4 tires.
Yeah, the only one I want to check on Casey Kane and Ryan Newman. I think they both got 2 tires, and we know Sterling Marlin did. And then Mark Martin out ahead of Jeff Gordon. Some guys have not pitted, like Rusty Wallace, who will be the new leader of the Sharpie 500 when we return to Bristol. Sharpie 500, Bristol Motor Speedway, NASCAR on TNT, under caution for the 3rd time in the race, about to go back to green. Wendy's race menu next weekend. A new Labor Day tradition starts for NASCAR, the California Speedway. Under the lights, 7 o'clock Eastern time, prime time next week, and then the race to the chase ends at Richmond, Saturday night, September 11th, and short track racing to decide who gets into the chase for the next L Cup. Now, strategy for track position being played out here. Rusty Wallace is your leader. Remember, he pitted earlier. Dale Jr. second, Bobby Labonte third, Jimmy Johnson fourth, Kenny Wallace fifth, Scott Riggs sixth. None of those drivers pitted under this yellow. Sterling Marlin, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Right side tires only on their pit stops, followed by Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon in line.
But that strategy is such, oh, look at Junior just close up right on the back bumper of Rusty Wallace. A-car looks pretty good right now, Marty.
Looking pretty good, BP. Remember, they pitted on lap 37, so they didn't feel it was necessary to come down pit road this time. They only had 12 laps on their tires. They pitted on lap 37 because it gets them into a window to finish on 2 more stops in this race. Already playing fuel strategy early here at Bristol. 48 cars back behind him. Jimmy Johnson, they pitted a couple of times during this race. Day 2 at lap 37. His car was tight. They went down the track bar. Jimmy said, I love the changes you made, Chad. The car is much better.
And Ryan Newman with an almost in turn 3.
Well, that was one of those bump. You talked about it on your pre-race show, Wally's World, the bump and run on Ryan Newman.
Newman shuffled back. Gordon passed Mark Martin. Now McMurray has passed Martin. Now Newman's on the outside and getting hung out.
Tony cuts him some slack, but I don't know if Newman can keep his car down on the bottom of the racetrack. It looks like he's struggling, not able to hook that bottom line.
Remember, he got just the 2 tires on that pit stop, matching up the new right sides and the older left sides.
Here comes the old bump and run. You see Jeff Gordon get in there right underneath. Just hangs the bumper. Well, and then hangs it a little bit more. Didn't get it good enough the first time.
There's that real estate thing. Casey Mears just skidded off the racetrack onto pit road down the backstretch. I believe he's missing part of his right front.
Well, a lot of damage to the hood of that car.
Got into somebody.
Radiator is broken. They said take it behind the wall, I'm sure is what they said.
So tough luck there for Casey Mears.
Looks like Rusty hasn't really lost a whole lot on Earnhardt Jr. Once he let him by, he kind of got back down in line. And
as a matter of fact, that lap, Rusty Wallace was faster than Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Well, we talked about in Wally's World, and you mentioned it a minute ago, the bump and run. How about we fire up the Singular Wireless Race Talk poll? That is the topic tonight. What do you think about the bump and run in terms of fairness? Anything goes to win. It's okay as long as you don't wreck the guy, or it's dirty racing. Cast your vote. Let us know what you think.
It's all of the above.
We'll get opinions.
Now Rusty Wallace is coming right back on the 8 car. He must be happy now, huh, Bill?
You got to yell, hey, Bill!
Oh, it's noisy down there, right?
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
Okay. Hey, Bill, is Rusty Wallace happy?
There I am. I heard you. You just couldn't hear me. Well, if you're buying that. Hey, he pitted on that first caution. His car was just very, very loose. They made an air pressure adjustment. He said it's gotten a tick better. They stayed out for track position, and now it does seem to be improving.
Okay. So 9-time Bristol winner Rusty Wallace running second. Change for third. Here comes Sterling Marlin. Moving up through the guys that did not pit by Jimmy Johnson, by Bobby Labonte. And he better be in a hurry because Jeff Gordon's starting to roll. While we watch some of this racing, Marty is with Joe Nemechek, who had that hard crash a little while ago. Marty?
Yeah, finally from the infield care center. You okay? And what happened?
I'm okay. You know, I have to say my pride's hurt. Bruised the bone of my foot. You know, just got clipped there at the last right in the bumper cover and turned me around the wrong way. It hit pretty hard, but I'm fine. Just hurt my foot a little bit.
That would be in his left foot. He's going to go home tomorrow and have it evaluated, but he's able to walk now.
So good news there that Joe is basically okay. A very hard crash in turn 1. This is a race for 7th place. 7th, 8th, 9th. McMurray in 7th in the 42. You're riding with Mark Martin in 8th.
And Casey Kane, Wally, is doing a very good job. He's showing some patience right now. He doesn't have a car good enough to run with these guys. He's moving over, letting them go. Don't argue that real estate.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's smart. That's smart racing here, especially this time. You start racing these guys side by side, and that's when you really lose a lot of ground. Now you see Jimmy Johnson move up the racetrack for his partner. Probably team owner.
Older tires, too, on that 48. A little bit of patience being shown here by Jimmy. Marty?
Yeah, he's trying to be as patient as he can. Remember, they had to start the back of the field in a backup car, and they have deemed in the front grille. They've had to take most all the tape off the front grille for Jimmy Johnson, especially on the right side, trying to get air to that engine.
Mark Martin dove underneath the 48, now chasing down the 42. Before that stop, he said the car was loose on entry and loose on exit and pushing slightly in the center of the corner. But it didn't really feel like it was any big deal, no adjustments. In fact, Pat Tryson told me today they just want to settle in, whether it's 4th, 6th, 8th, or even 15th, and just ride. Wally, as a driver, do you break this race into 2 separate segments, maybe 400 laps
Hang on,
of survival?
Matt, got trouble. Turn 4. Ricky Craven has looped around, caught the wall with the back end of the time ride, and the yellow flag flies again. He didn't catch it hard, but he didn't catch it.
It just kept getting looser and looser.
And finally, it gets so loose that you back it in the wall.
Yeah, I get a right rear.
Right rear is flat.
So what has been a miserable summer continues for Maine's favorite racing son.
I'm not sure Ricky didn't have the tires up there. That just looked really strange when he, we saw a lot of guys having problems though in turn 3 over the weekend.
So
like a bump down there or something.
4th caution out in the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Sharpie 500 night in Bristol, Tennessee, and the fans are here, 160,000 strong, having a great time watching the stars of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series try to conquer this high-banked little bull ring. Last night, the NASCAR Busch Series drivers tried to conquer it, and it was Earnhardt Jr. who came out on top. Dominating run, led 125 of 250 laps. Kyle Busch gaining a little more ground on Martin Truex in their race for the championship. 10 races to go for the Busch Series. They're at California Speedway next Saturday. Wednesday night, the Craftsman Truck Series raced here, and Carl Edwards came from the back to the front to score the win. His 3rd of the season, 9 races to go in the Craftsman Truck Series Championship. They race at Richmond 1 week from Thursday. And Carl out there tonight in his Roush Racing 99 in 22nd place. His first Cup go here at Bristol. And his 2nd ever Nextel Cup Series race, period.
Okay, here we go. Cars all lined up, ready for the restart.
Green flag.
Oh, look at Junior with the restart.
Hey, man, he did that last night in the Busch race.
Tell you what, you put a lot
of trouble front stretch. Brendan Gaughan, Tony Raines,
Kyle Petty,
and Kyle Petty.
Man. See, they were only running half speed, and look at all the damage to Brendan's car.
Well, half speed would still be 50 miles an hour, right?
There's going to be plenty of real estate to race on if they keep doing this.
Well, there is.
So yellow flag number 5.
Somebody checked. Well, let's see. Normally somebody checks up on a restart, and that's what happens. It looks like what happened.
Very good, Wally. Crunch, clunk.
A lot of damage to the 99 and 49, looks to me like.
17 couldn't get going. The 99 checked up. The 77 didn't. Chain reaction.
And there are a couple of radiators whose contents have been scattered around this half-mile track. And the cleanup crews will go to work once again. 90 of 500 laps complete before a sold-out house in Bristol. Little TBS college football cruiser that's going to appear at all their games this fall.
We didn't have that cruiser last week, did we?
No, we didn't. We could have used it.
What was that cruiser when we were camping in Michigan?
Yeah.
We had the Leprechaun.
Yeah, Big 12 and Pac-10 college football on TBS this fall. Got a great lineup of games. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the race leader, under caution. Marty, your turn to speak.
Leading the field around very slowly here at lap 93 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Trying for his first ever Bristol win, his best finish here, third in this race 2 years ago. Here's what he has to say about the Budweiser number 8.
I need a little more grip in the left rear. I'm a little bit snug, but I'm sliding the back a little bit too much. I'd like to be a little more comfortable. I can't run, long runs. I make a lot more mistakes with it like that. Every once in a while, it jump out on me.
And how do you fix that? Wanting more grip in the left rear, you take a pound out of all the tires except the left rear, giving the left rear more grip. Bill?
Marty, 9-time Bristol winner Rusty Wallace hasn't had a top 10 finish since the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte in May. 43rd here last year, second here in the spring, fighting a little bit loose off right now. Used track position and stayed out under this caution. Dave?
Marlin was 4th here in the spring, Bill, and having a good run here tonight. That two-tire experiment, two-tire change to the right side, worked pretty good. Sterling said it started out a little bit tight, but the car is really coming in now. Matt?
Mark Martin chasing his 3rd win here in Thunder Valley. He said the car was neutral on entry, then it went to tight in the center, and then loose on exit. But he's still very pleased with the race car. Remember back to last week, he finished 2nd, but it was a very hard-fought 2nd place finish. He was part of that Superheroes campaign while the team brought out Batman. Hey, if anything works, keep doing it.
So Mark Martin soldiering along in 6th place, hoping his Batmobile runs well here tonight, looking for a good finish to continue his pursuit of a spot in the race to the chase.
So Gordon's the first one with 4.
Yep.
And McMurray had 4 too, right? Everybody on back.
Yep. Yeah, well, Newman had the 2 and Kane had the 2.
Right.
They've been overtaken.
Mark and Jimmy and Elliott.
So, if we have time before the green, Mikey, if we have time before the green, just as an establisher shot, there's a whole cluster of cars in the center of the infield. All the wrecks have kind of been pulled back to one place. 77 and 49 and 51 and a whole bunch of them. You see them all? It's racing mash. Yeah. Okay. In addition to winning the race a week ago at Michigan, Greg Biffle's team spent the least amount of time on pit road among participating crews, so they win the McDonald's Drive-Thru Pit Crew Championship, fueled by Powerade. 20,000 to them. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team with a slim lead in the season-long standings.
It's a close race right there.
200,000 on the line for the crews. They know about the money. Got a little racing mash set up back in the garage area in the center of the infield here at Bristol. All the wrecks being repaired.
See Morgan Shepherd's car, Brendan Gaughan's car. I see Tony Raines' 51 car.
Tucked in behind a hauler you can't see quite there. Ken Schrader's. There's Kyle Petty's. There's Casey Mears. And it's early.
They're earning their money already tonight.
Got to fix it. Got to try and get back out.
Got to get those points.
So here we come to the restart. Got something for us, Bill?
Just a lot of talk about how slow Earnhardt Jr. brings him to the restart.
Green flag.
Wow. Good jump there.
Jr. able to hold him off.
Rusty was ready for that restart, wasn't he?
Yeah, sometimes that bringing it down that slow will work against you because kind of like Rusty Wallace is going to take advantage of that.
Earnhardt Jr. leads. Wallace is 2nd. Marlin 3rd. Jeff Gordon 4th. McMurray 5th.
Gordon's all over the back of Sterling Marlin.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be for 3rd place. Remember Marlin just taking 2 tires on his lap 57 pit stop while Gordon got 4. Gordon mowed through most of the traffic. In fact, the other other guys that got 2 tires have both slipped back. So an interesting dilemma for the crew chiefs. You got Marlin, who's held his ground on the 2 tires, but the other guys have fallen back.
But Sterling's not really holding his ground. Yes, I mean, because Rusty and Dale Jr. are pulling away from him, and Jeff Gordon right behind him is clearly faster than the 40 car right now.
And Sterling knows if he gets up on that top line, he's going to get railroaded. There's a bunch of guys in line that are going to go right by, so he's got to protect that bottom as much and as long as he can.
But I think, Alan, your point is correct. He was the best of the cars that changed 2 tires, Sterling Marlin.
He's hanging in there.
Until Jeff runs out of patience.
You think Jeff will run out of patience? Really? I've never understood to do that.
Guarantee it.
Not here at Bristol, anyway. Sterling Marlin in desperate need of a good finish. Desperate being the fact that his last 16 races, he's only got 2 top 10 finishes.
Wait a minute. What happened here?
A pass.
A pass for the lead. Rusty Wallace, 2 car, goes by Junior in front.
Second time tonight, Rusty has led.
Evidently, he was making the 8 car, Dale Jr., run just a little bit harder than he wanted to go. He talked to his crew about the back end just jumping out every once in a while, and he certainly does not want that to happen. So he's going to back up a little bit and ride.
Right on board here with Junior. See how hard these guys work on a racetrack like this. You never, ever rest. This place is the toughest race to race. I mean, it is very physical. You're sliding the car is drifting all over the place. It's busy.
And listen to a little burst of RPM out of the engine.
Well, what happens is when you get on the throttle, sometimes it'll break loose, and you got to back off on the throttle and wait till it gets traction, then get right back on the gas. So you're dancing inside that car every single lap. And he's got clean racetrack right there. He's not really being pressured. But even on the straightaway, you see you never keep the steering wheel straight very long.
So Junior continuing to pursue Rusty Wallace, try and hang with him, and stay in contact with the new leader, Bill.
Talked to Rusty just before the drivers' meeting this evening, Alan. He's very confident. He also expressed that on the Discover Card Countdown to Green. One reason for that is when they got here on Friday, they put the car on the track. They went all the way they could one way, then brought it back to their starting point, went all the way the other way, brought it back to their starting point, felt they were very good. They built some adjustability into it, but felt they were pretty much where Rusty wanted to be, but he's never satisfied at Bristol. You know that.
So, Bill, when you're talking about bringing the car in one direction or the other, they went to the freer, the looser side, and then back to the tighter side, so
exactly.
They knew what to do with the car.
You have a game plan, you want to go one way with it, then you want to bring it back and go the other way, make sure you're exactly where you felt you were. Now, you're not too loose, you're not too tight, you're as good as you can possibly make Rusty at Bristol. That's not easy to do.
And I think another thing, Bill, a lot of these guys are doing or they're experimenting with, they're getting these cars so soft. They're trying to see how soft they can get these cars and how much damage they'll do once they bounce off the racetrack and then back up from there.
Soft in terms of the spring rates, the springs they have up under the car.
Right, if you watch the cars in the corners, and if I watched Rusty like in turn 3, that car really, really crushes down to the racetrack, and that's giving the cars grip. But you got to be careful you don't wear out the oil pan and things like that underneath the race car.
And I tell you what, I talked about Sterling Marlin holding up Jeff Gordon. That's not the case anymore. He is driven away from Jeff Gordon. So that 2-time stop for Sterling Marlin, I am impressed with it. And Gordon evidently having some problems right now with that 24 car.
Jeff in 4th place, trying to hold off McMurray for 5th.
And Benny, you're all over it on the 24. He just said on the radio, we're tight, man. We're getting into real trouble here. Gordon on the radio.
All right, Bill, thanks. Mark Martin kind of lurking behind these two, looking to close in. Comings and goings, Jimmy Spencer, Casey Mears back on the racetrack after damage to their cars repaired behind the wall. Rusty Wallace, the leader, here at Bristol.
The Sharpie 500 on TNT is brought to you by Sharpie, right out loud. By Budweiser, it's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser, the race is on. By Discover Card, it pays to discover. And by new M3 Power from Gillette, the new power behind the Gillette Young Guns.
1/4 distance in Thunder Valley tonight before a sellout crowd of 160,000 and a new leader. In the Sharpie 500, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has just gone by Rusty Wallace to reclaim the top spot.
Yeah, I think Rusty saw Earnhardt coming. Rusty just pulls up the racetrack and lets Dale Jr. go. Watch right here. He'll go in the corner and say, you're pretty fast right now. Go ahead. I'll follow you for a while.
I'll tell you what, Rusty did not get off that corner very well, but now, once Junior got by him, he's able to stay right behind him.
We've had some trouble trying to get this done because it seems like every time we do it, the caution flag comes out. We'll give it our best shot here. It's our visa through the field. The race leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr. What?
Almost trouble.
All right, let us do this here, Wally. There's no crash. Marty, go.
I started to think we're never going to get this thing done, are we? Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading, trying to fend off Rusty Wallace and trying to do something nobody's ever done at Bristol. When the Busch race and the Cup race car just a little bit tight, Rusty Wallace going for the lead, Bill.
Rusty back to the lead at Bristol, a familiar sight. A few laps to go, the car's getting a little loose. We'll be okay. That's the story on the tube.
Sterling Marlin in the 40 car, tried the two-tire stop, basically happy with it, even though he's been passed now by Jamie McMurray. Bottom line is that they had to use it later in the race for track position, they would.
So Marlin back to fourth, and Jamie McMurray is now up to third. And that would be Marty, I believe.
I believe that is me, Alan. Lap 119, Jamie McMurray came on the radio saying it's just a little bit loose, not too bad right now, guys. He's been very happy with the car this afternoon, talking about an air pressure adjustment. Bill?
The 24 of Jeff Gordon. That's a brand new car, never turned a lap till they got him here on Friday. It is starting to get tight on him, Matt.
Bill, the 6 of Mark Martin runs in 6. They know how strong Gordon is. They're trying to mirror their strategy after the 24. He's still free on exit, Marty.
Jimmy Johnson last pitted at lap 58 in the 48 car. Next stop, they want to take more tape off the grill. Again, they've had water temperatures, and the grill has been knocked in a good bit on the 48 car. Elliott Sadler in the 38 car says the car is a little bit tight. He's worried about using up the right front tire. What's more, forward bite, Bill.
Ryan Newman in the 12 car, pitted lap 57. Car was a little tight. They made some adjustments. No words from Brian. That's a good sign, Matt.
Rounding out the top 10 is Casey Kane. His car, they fixed the loose in the back end of the race car with a track bar adjustment. The car, though, still up on top of the racetrack. He's trying to hold on with only 2 tires on that last stop.
Those are your top 10, 29 cars on the lead lap at this point. Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of 3 drivers who have led tonight. Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace are the others. What did I say? Did I just say Earnhardt Jr. was leading? Rusty is leading. Rusty's leading. My bad.
Well, we see Scott Riggs, the 10 car, has gone a lap down now. Quite a few cars up in front of the leader, Rusty Wallace, that he has to contend with.
Well, Rusty's record here at Bristol, I mean, when you look at the numbers, they're astounding. In his career here, he has won 22% of his starts, finished first or second 39% of the time, 51% of the time he finishes in the top 5, and 68% of the time he finishes in the top 10.
And wasn't it Weber was talking about is not a top 10 finish since Charlotte? But not because he hasn't been there. He's been running really good these last few races, but had a lot of bad luck.
Yep.
Been up front a bunch of times.
And of course, Rusty has a press conference scheduled for Daytona Beach, Florida, and Daytona USA on Monday. Much speculation about what the announcement might be.
Oh, come on.
Much of it centered around the fact that will next season be Rusty's final year.
Very last season
in Nextel Cup racing. He keeps running like this, you might have to reconsider. I don't know.
It's tough when you're having fun.
Casey Kane, the 9 car, has started to struggle just a little bit. He was 10th when we went through the field.
Wow, Casey looks like he's got...
And now he's back to 12th. He's going to be 13th, 14th when he comes off this corner.
It looks like the car's acting like he's got a tire down or something, but he may have picked up some rubber or something.
He's going back to 15th position on that 9 car.
From Robbie Gordon. And just ahead of Kevin Harvick is Casey Kane.
Whatever the case, it doesn't look like his car is turning very well.
Kevin Harvick, Dave.
Yeah, success here pretty much last night in the Busch race and a lot here in the past. Hasn't had much to say good though tonight. In fact, in the last pit stop, he made a change, but he's lost grip in all the corners he set. Not sure what change they're going to make on the next stop. Matt?
The car of the 9, Casey Kane, still on the free side, talking to crew chief Tommy Baldwin about what adjustments to make. And Wally, for a driver, you don't want to get in somebody's way so they move you up and you really lose position. So how do you judge when to let people go by so you're going to be safe?
Yeah, well, I kind of talked about it earlier, Matt. You try to let guys by if you know you can get back down, but it seems like he has his hands really, really full. If the car is loose getting in, he may be able to adjust the brakes, put more front brake in it, and that may help the car. But if the car is loose on the gas, he's going to have to ride it out. And if you're really struggling like he is, you got to let everybody by. Because if somebody even gets close to touching your rear bumper, you're going to go around when you're that loose.
So Casey Kane back to 18th place, while Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt Jr. continue to pace the field. 150 laps complete. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Beautiful night in Bristol, Tennessee, where the Sharpie 500 is underway at the Bristol Motor Speedway. 160 of the 500 laps complete. Rusty Wallace leads Dale Earnhardt Jr. by about an even second. Our Sabre Wireless Race Talk poll, we've talked about the bump and run here at Bristol. Fairly commonly used tactic this day. How do you feel about it? Is it anything goes? It's okay as long as you don't wreck the guy, or if it's dirty racing?
Wow. I think anything goes, and it's dirty racing, so it's okay.
Explain that again. Come on, help me with your logic here.
I have no logic.
Okay.
Can't help you.
I'm just shocked that folks say it's okay as long as you don't wreck that guy. The bump and run, but we've already seen that tonight.
How about a 5-time Bristol winner, Jeff Gordon? What does he think of the bump and run and its acceptability as a tactic?
I think the bump and run is acceptable, you know, if you're going for the win and at what level you take it to. I mean, I think if you just go in there and put the guy on the wall, you know, I think that's extreme. I think that, you know, if you can get to his bumper and you can move him and it's for the win, then I think it's acceptable.
There you have it.
And guess what? He didn't even have to be bumped out of the way. He just was passed by Mark Martin. Was Martin in the 5th position?
So Jeff slipping back to 6th, Bill.
That's because the car is wicked tight in the center. That's a direct quote.
Wicked tight's pretty bad.
That's a lot to say going around here under the green flag, so.
No, that's a 2-word.
Wicked tight. Wicked tight. How about Mark Martin, Matt?
His car tight, but not wicked tight. You can see him slowly gaining on the 24, and he finally took over that position, just trying to settle in and ride. They know they're breaking this race down into 2 sections. 400 laps of survival, and then 100 of game on. Let's go for the win.
That's a good way to do it. A real good way to do it.
Let's ride with Mark.
Mark takes his hand, looked like he take hand right off the wheel. Slides it over. Yep.
He does.
I love watching the eyes through the clear visors at night. You can't see him during the shaded ones during the day. Watch his eyes dance up to the mirror on the straightaway. And
yeah, you always check your mirror. Check your mirror usually right when you're getting off the corner. Here the car broke loose there when he got on the gas. Go through the corner, look in the mirror.
Looking left around the corner ahead of the car.
Takes a quick look. Do that a lot of times.
So that's Mark running in 5th place now after starting in 7th. Heavy traffic for the race leaders.
And that includes in the front of this group the 9 car of Casey Kane, trying desperately to hang on to that 10th spot in the NASCAR Nextel Cup points, but is struggling, and here comes the leaders.
Terry Labonte put a lap down. Ricky Craven, Jeff Green, Scott Riggs, Kenny Wallace. Next up, it's Ward Burton in the 0 for Rusty Wallace. By the way, Ken Schrader back on track from behind the wall, his car having been repaired.
Whoa, Ward Burton loose off of turn 4. And Rusty saw that and said, okay, I want to get my nose right underneath your car. So we drive down here, watch Ward Burton off the corner here.
Well, Burton is really struggling with that straight ahead bite, isn't he? Rusty just closed it right on the back bumper.
Here's where that patience thing comes into play if you're Rusty Wallace, too.
There he comes. Got off pretty straight there.
That car 5 in front of Rusty Wallace is Casey Kane.
Ward knows he's got to get the power down. He's got to drive straight off these corners as best as he can now because Rusty Wallace is about to put him back down.
And talking about Rusty and patience, do you want to try the outside? Do you move Ward out of the way? You just nipped him there with a bumper, I think.
You can't do that when you've got Earnhardt or anybody else on your tail. So you got to hope that Ward slides up the racetrack.
And this has allowed the 42 car of Jamie McMurray to come into the play. He's right behind Junior.
So now you got to use your bumper. Now Rusty's going to get impatient, and Rusty's going to have to move these guys, or he's going to be in trouble.
Talking about McMurray creeping into the picture. Marty?
Alan, that was a big wiggle for Rusty Wallace. Jamie McMurray, one of the fastest cars on the track. I believe you call him the fastest cat in the alley right now?
Yeah.
His car's going really well. Came on the radio lap 160, said it's just a little bit loose. The air pressure adjustment you made last time made it almost perfect. If it goes green, and it might, they have to pit about lap 225. Bill?
And Marty, some guys are going to have to come earlier than that. Guys talk about coming as early as 187. That's less than 10 laps from now.
Yeah, remember Rusty Wallace pitted at lap 21. Earnhardt Jr. at lap 37.
And now Kasey Kane is just 2 cars in front of the leader, Rusty Wallace. And it's hard to pick up positions from a lap down. You just got to somehow, some way, stay in the lead lap.
I can't believe Rusty's been this patient. With the zero car, yeah, especially with the guys in his mirror.
Rusty working him. This would be for 8th place. Ryan Newman trying to work his way back toward the front. And Jeff Burton going to follow him.
I tell you, this 30 car, and here we see finally Rusty Wallace gets by the 0. The next car in front of Rusty, Kasey Kane.
There he is.
Matt, what are they saying in the 9 pit? They got to be a little concerned.
BP, Tommy Baldwin just told Kasey, that's the leader in your mirror. Casey's trying to hold on, trying not to lose a lap, but this race car is just getting worse and worse. Remember, he didn't get an opportunity to run that final practice session. They did not in the first session try 2 tires and see what it would do. Right now, just holding on, hoping for a caution.
Kasey Kane 10th in the championship standings. We check the race to the chase with 3 races to go, including this one.
Well, there's the top 5. We're not concerned about that. We're concerned about Jeremy Mayfield.
Look at Mark Martin.
Wow.
In 9th spot. And Kane out currently.
Check that out.
Out. Bobby Labonte was knocked out as it runs.
Bobby running back in 19th place right now in the race.
And Jarrett back in 15th, only 49 points out of 10th. If the race would end. And now Kasey Kane does go a lap down to Rusty Wallace.
There's not a whole lot Kasey could do right now. I mean, he's just hanging on.
And he can't stay in front of Ward Burton in the 0 either. If he could, he'd be the first car. Well, he held him off for now.
Right now, he's a lucky dog.
That is the race to be. The first car not on the lead lap right there, 9-0. If the caution were to come out, not an unreasonable expectation here in Bristol. Rusty Wallace's tires been.
It's good to have horsepower, but you got to be able to put it down.
And Ward Burton did get by the 9 car, so that took the lucky dog out of the equation.
Change for 4th. Mark Martin by Sterling Marlin. So one of the hottest drivers on tour of late, Mark Martin, with 3 top 3 finishes in the last 4 races, creeping toward the front. Battle of the Brewers going on at the front of the pack tonight here in Bristol as the Bud wagon tries to go around the Miller wagon. And does so. So the leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr. We were trying to go to a break before that happened. Three different drivers trading the lead throughout the first 200 laps of the Sharpie 500 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is out in front now, opening up a 2nd and 6/10 on Wallace after passing him a couple of laps ago. There's the gap back to Rusty.
What a considerable gap. This is by far the largest lead we've seen all night. And Junior is running up on some heavy lap traffic. Todd Bodine in the 50 car. The next car, Todd Bodine currently running 22nd.
Yeah, there's about 9 or 10 cars there, all in a row.
Now we're going to start to see some green flag pit stops here momentarily. And remember that under the green flag, as a matter of fact, Jeremy Mayfield ducks in there, you see.
Get your gas ready, guys. Get your gas ready to put some in this carburetor now. Where's your gas thing at, Claude?
Out of gas. Out of fuel.
Looked like he ran. The 19 car of Jeremy Mayfield hits pit road. One of the guys in the chase for the championship. Making a 4-tire stop, adding fuel. Now just a few spots behind him on pit road. It's Rusty Wallace. Looks like he might have run out of fuel coming out of 4. Coasted around. It's 4 tires. There's going to be no changes. The question is, can he get him fired? He's got him running now. Sounds like he's got it running hard to here. Nope, they're going to have to push him to get him going. This is really going to be costly. This is hard work. It's a hot, humid night here at Bristol. Rusty trying to get it refired. Ran it out of gas. They should have been in by lap 200. They didn't come in, and this is going to be brutal. Matt.
And Mayfield's teammate, Kane, finally comes in. You can see the wedge wrench in the back window of the race car, cranking away, trying to fix this race car. He said he just felt like the back of the car was not into the racetrack. 4-tire change on his first stop. He took 2 earlier tonight.
Wow, running out of fuel. Didn't that happen to Ryan here last year or something?
Ryan Newman?
Yeah, didn't they run out of gas too? They were trying to push the car. I don't remember what it was, but
yeah.
You run out of fuel, and you can't get that car refired, especially here at Bristol. Everything happens so fast, you lose a bunch of time.
But Rusty finally got it refired, but now he's 3 laps behind the leader, the 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. 3 laps behind. I heard him saying about running out of fuel. I thought it was Jeremy, but instead it was the leader, guy running in 2nd spot, Rusty Wallace.
This is a race now for 6th and 7th. Jimmy Johnson 48, Ryan Newman 12. Johnson coming from the back of the pack in his backup car. Remember, they played the pit strategy track position thing to get himself up front.
And this is where you got to be careful, because now you got guys on fresh tires. Now you have guys sliding all over the place. And this is where sometimes you'll get a caution because there's a lot faster cars.
Marty, how about more on Jimmy Johnson?
This car has really come to life, Alan, here late in the run. The car has been excellent. All they're doing is reading on lap time. They're planning no changes on the next stop. They have to pit in about 3 to 4 laps.
So that's the story there for Jimmy Johnson. Rusty Wallace back in 27th place. Jeremy Mayfield 26th. Jimmy Johnson stopping at lap 37 is when he was in.
You see that we talk about strategy and what these teams are doing, but it's such an elusive target. Yeah. It just keeps shifting around on you. It's hard to hit it.
And remember Kane on the fresher tires, like you were talking about, Wally, just blasted by Ryan Newman.
Yeah, and this is good for him because he's making up a lot of ground right now. Hopefully the yellow doesn't come out for him. Right. These guys are really sliding around on those older tires.
That's how it's good for him. He's making up time as long as the race stays green through a full set of pit stops for everybody in the field.
Then it won't be so bad.
Caution comes out.
You're done.
Deep.
Big fella.
Jeff Gordon still chasing Sterling Marlin. Now that is for 4th and 5th place as Mark Martin has gone through. Here comes Superman on the fresh tire.
Yeah, you're going to be about. You're going to be a 2nd to 2 seconds faster a lap on new tires right there than these guys who are running in 4th and 5th position.
Jeff Gordon under Marlin.
Junior on the pit road.
Marty, remembering the mistakes Jeff Gordon has made here the last 2 years, they reminded him twice. Pit off of turn 4, off of turn 4. The car just a little bit tight for Junior. Half around the wedge into the right side, trying to loosen up. 4 tires so far. Good stop for the 8 bunch. Nice stop.
And gone.
30 miles per hour down pit road.
And again, as Marty was saying, because it's a green flag pit stop, now you go right back onto the racetrack from there.
You see a lot of sparks coming out of Jimmy Spencer's car right here. I don't know if the exhaust pipe is falling off or falling off or what, but I think NASCAR is going to give him the black flag, because if that comes off, you don't want to hit that.
Yeah, see it dragging there, bouncing down. That's tough. What a lousy night for Jimmy at his favorite racetrack.
He loves this place. He runs good here.
Jimmy Johnson on pit road. Greg Biffle just leaving the pit lane. Marty?
Second place man in the championship. Very happy with his race car. The grill is dinged in just a little bit. They wanted to pull a piece of tape off. Now they've decided not to do that. Jack Canals very happy with the car. Jimmy says leave it alone, no changes. They clean the grill. He's away.
14-8. And Matt Kenseth's in, Dave.
Overall tight, but he needs grip all the way around. Air pressure adjustment for Matt. Send it back out. A 4-tire stop here, hoping for 13 or 14 seconds so he doesn't lose too much time.
Robbie Gordon coming down the pit lane on the backstretch as Kenseth leaves. And the defending series champion will rejoin the race.
Go ahead, Matt. They're making a chassis adjustment on the 31 on his first stop. They've been an air pressure adjustment. Robbie Gordon's been fighting tight all night as the 6 car is also preparing to come in as the 31's down the way, Marty.
Elliott Sadler with a top 10 run there. The car, though, very, very loose for Elliott. 2 rounds down on the track bar. They also make an air pressure adjustment on 3 of the 4 tires for the 38 team. Still having a nice run, though.
So Sadler leaves. Jamie McMurray is the leader now. Mark Martin does peel off the banking and hit the pit road on the backside, and McMurray comes in on the front side. Go ahead, Matt.
Pat Tryson counts Mark Martin into his pit stall. The car tight on this last run. They were going to make an air pressure adjustment to the 6, chasing his 8th career. Next out comes short track win. Having a good run tonight, Marty.
Jamie McMurray, Matt, with a very fast car, said it's just a little loose in, a little tight off. Very slight air pressure adjustment. 14-7 on the stop for the 42 gang.
Look, Mark may have had a little trouble on that stop.
But he's coming around pit road. Mark, go on the racetrack. Mark, get on the racetrack. It's green flag, Mark. Oh, no.
Mark, oh, no.
He's right down pit road.
That is a terrible mistake right there.
You see, he's supposed to be on the racetrack running wide open, yet he's 30 miles per hour. He's going to be a lap down when this is all over.
You only have to do that if it's yellow.
Yes.
All right, Sterling Marlin was in. Now Jeff Gordon comes down pit road at lap 228. Your turn, Bill.
And they made it very clear to Jeff Gordon into the pits off of turn 4. Gordon is in pit stall 1. He's over the line. He has to back up. He does. That will cost him seconds. Ryan Newman is pitted directly behind him. Gordon's car has been wicked tight. Newman is 12 behind him. It's also been tight. It's 4 tires. It's also a bright chassis adjustment for the 12 car. He's going to lead first. He's blocked in by the 24. Boy, that was ugly.
Yeah, I guess.
And even stacks up in the pits.
And Tony Stewart beats them both out in the 20 car.
So Michael Waltrip is now the leader as green flag pit stops continue. Bobby Labonte, Todd Bodine, Brian Vickers, Ward Burton yet to stop. How about the 20 stop, Marty?
And one of the reasons he was able to beat those guys out is because he had a clean in and a clean out for them. 11th running is where they were running when they came down pit road. The car too tight for Tony. Up on the top bar, wedge in.
Gonna lose a spot to Jeff Gordon there.
You see Jeff Burton coming back in the action after making a pit stop.
Ward Burton onto the pit lane and moved up as high as 5th. Now we watch Michael Waltrip, who is the race leader. Michael, remember, started in the back, in a backup car after his qualifying crash. Had moved steadily up into the top 20, stayed on the lead lap. He was up to 17th before this cycle of pit stops began. Mark Martin losing a lot of time. Let's get an update there, Matt.
Alan Marks, Crucci, Pat Tryson in complete shock. Couldn't believe what he was seeing. In fact, he didn't even know Mark was going down pit road on the front stretch until he saw it on the Jumbotron, separating both pits. We've seen a lot of guys for the past year or two who've done this. Bill Elliott, Bill talked about Jeff Gordon. Gordon even has a map on his dash to explain to him green versus yellow stops. What a heartbreaker for Mark Martin. They've got some work to do here, guys.
It's very confusing when you have to do, normally you just come down pit lane and it's the same thing. But here's the only place where it's different, green to yellow.
And I understand both sides. I understand the necessity for the procedure to take away the disadvantage of pitting on the back as Michael Waltrip comes in.
Oh, contact. Martin made contact with a 50 car as he went by him. He's about like Michigan last week. Yeah, he's possessed again.
Go ahead, Dave.
They stayed out as long as they could. Couldn't catch the caution. They'll make an air pressure adjustment. They've been doing that all night. The car has felt like it's skating on top of the track for Michael. Finally feels like it's come in a little bit. 4 tires and he's gone.
So Bobby Labonte now the leader, followed by Todd Bodine, Brian Vickers, Ricky Craven, and then it'll cycle back around to Dale Earnhardt Jr. There's Bobby coming in, and that's in front of Mr. Weber.
And they reminded Bobby Labonte, please come in off turn 4, watch your RPMs, into his stall, nobody in front of him or behind him, needs more forward bite. Looks like they're going to try to do that with an air pressure adjustment and pack that full of fuel, not want to run out of Bristol. Out of the left side, inside tires off to the body, try to stay in that chase to the championship.
So Bobby goes out, Todd Bodine is now the leader. And the first of the cars who have pitted, that position has just changed hands as Labonte rejoins the race. That's Todd Bodine, the leader. Brian Vickers is second. Now Jeff Gordon has come up and passed Dale Earnhardt Jr. But that is not, it's not for position. That was just to get Gordon back on the lead lap, basically.
But Gordon is making up a lot of time with those tires, as you can see.
All right, Marty.
What a run for Todd Bodine and Don Arnold's race team. This car's been a little bit tight, stayed out as long as they could. This is not one of your experienced Nextel Cup pit crews. They have been practicing very hard. I talked to Mike Hillman, the crew chief, about it. He said pit stops have been better than they've been in a long time. That's a good stop for those guys. 4 tires.
And Craven is in, and so it'll be Dale Earnhardt Jr. back into the lead here at Bristol. Just to button up the point we were making before the rest of the pit stops happen. I understand the necessity of the procedure for having separate pit roads under green and under caution here. The teams just have to talk their drivers through it.
Well, that's right. Jeff Gordon did the same thing 2 races in a row in the 24 car.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Wally. You're right. It's not normal. It's not what the drivers used to do it. So the spotter, the crew chief, they've got to make sure they walk their man through it. Yep.
When that spotter looked up and saw him on the apron of 3 and 4, realized what he was doing, he should have said, get on the racetrack, get on the racetrack.
You're absolutely right, Benny.
So Earnhardt Jr. is the leader. The pit stop cycle complete without the caution flag interrupting. We'll reset the running order for you when NASCAR on TNT returns to Thunder Valley. opened in July 1961. The first race attended by 18,000. Tonight, the Sharpie 500 running before a sold-out crowd of 160,000 here at Bristol Motor Speedway. They are watching Dale Earnhardt Jr. lead the race by 6.4 seconds over Jimmy Johnson. We check the Gillette Young Guns. First micro power shaving system from Gillette, the new M3 Power, the new power behind the Gillette Young Guns. The Young Guns have led the championship after 22 of 23 races this season. They're leading the race right now.
They aren't doing too badly. First, second, and fifth.
So that's Jeff Gordon on the tail end of the lead lap just in front of Earnhardt Jr. Gordon in 11th place.
And when do we think Earnhardt's going to stop?
Let me do the numbers while we talk about Mark Martin here for a second. He had a close call in traffic.
Yeah, running behind the 9 car of Casey Kane. Never seen Mark. And he's out there with fresh tires, and Kane has used up his tires. And there's that real estate that I was talking about. The 9 car said, I'm not going to give it up. He came down and almost got knocked in the fence. A good job by Casey Kane not to hit the outside retaining wall.
So Mark running along right now in 20th place. A lap down after the mistake on the pit procedure under the green flag. Remember we saw the championship standings earlier and Mark was in the chase? Well, let's have a look.
Let's have a look.
All right, forget about it. We're not interested in 1 through 5.
Yes, we are. We want to see who's leading the championship.
Okay.
Well, Mark isn't it?
We don't see Mark Martin, but Dale Jarrett is now 10th.
Wow, up 4 spots.
And Mayfield is 9th. Kane is out.
15th.
Mark goes back to 15th.
Wow.
Man, oh man.
So close, so volatile. And we're at Bristol. Earnhardt Jr. putting pressure on Jeff Gordon, the man who's been, along with Rusty Wallace, his toughest competition tonight. He's trying to put him a lap down as we're just past halfway.
Way too tight.
At Bristol Motor Speedway, NASCAR on TNT with the Sharpie 500 just past its midway point. Lap 271 of 500 is complete. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the race leader. NASCAR fans, you can log on to NASCAR.com and ask Benny and Wally questions about next week's NASCAR Nextel Cup race, your favorite driver, or the latest NASCAR news.
Boy, aren't those two good-looking guys there?
Let's not get carried away. Look for the Benny and Wally picture on the NASCAR.com homepage on Sundays. Click on the link, ask your questions, check out the responses, log on today.
Casey Kane.
Questions I'm going to file there.
Yeah. We saw Casey Kane just be lapped by the leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's now 2 laps down in 23rd position.
We have 8 cars on the lead lap at this point. The long green flag run that we're in has spread the field, the different pit strategies we're on, and so forth. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., it's all working his way so far, after not looking all that great in the opening laps of the race.
And all of his, looks like his toughest competitors tonight, Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, all those guys have had trouble in the pits. Marty?
I was going to talk about the leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr., VP, and I spent some time with him before the race as we watched Robbie Gordon trying to come up to the field. Junior told me his car was actually not that good in happy hour. What they did, they took a lot of the setup off the Busch Series car that won here yesterday in the race last night. Junior said, I hope it works on this car. It should translate. I'll let you know after the first stop. And I would have judged after the first stop that his car is pretty good, and that was a good decision to take some of that setup and put it on the Budweiser Chevrolet.
Yes, sir.
I'll agree with that.
You see Junior opening the gap on second place Jimmy Johnson over this last series of laps. BP and I saw Junior just after the drivers meeting today as we were getting set to come up here in the booth and talk to him about his burns. I said, how are you feeling, knowing that this is a pretty physically demanding race and a little tough in the race car? He said, I'm getting better. Every day, I feel a little bit better. He said, they're still gross, and they're still there. But yeah, I'm getting better, and I feel good.
That 24 is getting better, too. I think the pressures are finally coming up in those tires because it looks like he's closing the gap on Junior right now.
Race for 7. Elliott Sadler, 38. Greg Biffle, 16. Here are the last 2 cars on the lead lap. Right there.
And they aren't but about 2.5, 2-3 seconds in front of the leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr. As a matter of fact, he is in the same straightaway with them. So the one on the right would be the one to press now, try to get away.
So a long green flag run here at Bristol. We went back to the green at lap 98. We're almost 200 laps later, and the caution hasn't waved. That's somewhat of an unusual occurrence here. Through the field, when we come back to Thunder Valley, Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading the Sharpie 500. Contenders have been taken out of contention by mistakes on pit road.
Here's Mark Martin. He should have been up on the racetrack and not where he's at, but we'll explain that in a second.
And also 30 miles per hour instead of 100 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour. Rusty Wallace running well, runs out of gasoline. Had to push the car to get it restarted.
Lots of track position loss right here.
And then Jeff Gordon.
Went too far. He got to push it back. That cost him and the car behind him of Ryan Newman because Ryan couldn't get out.
So drivers who were contending for up front spots now back in the pack.
Now here's what happened. Mark Martin is supposed to enter the pits here, stop, make his pit stop, go on the race, and come back on the racetrack. Instead, now that's the green flag scenario. That's what you're supposed to do on the green. On the caution, you come in here and you go all the way around as Mark Martin did at 30 miles per hour and exit here at 30 miles per hour. All this distance here, he was at 30 instead of up on the racetrack running wide open.
So,
okay?
That is a ton of track position lost.
And so it has left Mark in 20th place, 1 lap down to leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. Rusty Wallace just in front of him in 19th, also a lap down. Jeff Gordon is also a lap down in 9th place. Let's go through the field, update you on the front runners. Marty, you're first.
3-time winner this year, Dale Earnhardt Jr. cruising right now, going for win number 4 of 2004. He said zilch on the radio since the last stop. They will stop at lap 365. They can make it on one more stop. Jimmy Johnson faster than Dale Earnhardt Jr. currently tracking him down. Currently also not saying anything on the radio. He's had 3 straight DNFs so far. So good for Jimmy Johnson as he started 11th, currently in 2nd. Jamie McMurray, his car on lap 282. He said, you need to help me into the corners. A little too loose into the corner for the man 15th of the championship. Dave?
Marty, Dale Jarrett before the green pit transition with sub 15-second pit stop. Also for Matt Kenseth, another great pickup, 10 spots in the transition. They were under 14 seconds on their pit stop, and it's going really well for them. As for the 40 car, those left side tires, 226 laps on them. They look pretty good when they came off the car, and the air pressure adjustment they made put more grip in this car. It's now neutral for Sterling. Marty, back to you.
Dave Elliott Sadler came on the radio about 15 laps ago, said the car is still a little bit tight. Started 8th tonight, currently in 7th position. One of the fastest cars on the track right now, Matt.
Greg Biffle working on his first career short track win at Nextel Cup, but his biggest concern lies in his mirror. Directly off his deck lid, it's driver 8. Greg Biffle says the car has been tight. They've worked on it with air pressure most of the night, but it just still gets tighter, guys.
And those are all of your lead lap cars.
That through the field didn't last long, did it?
Well, we can keep going. Some of the guys that are trying to get a lap back. How's that? How about we go with 9th place Jeff Gordon, Bill?
Yeah, I had a bunch of guys on the lead lap. Now I got nobody on the lead lap down here, including this guy, Jeff Gordon. The car's just way too tight. We're hurting it getting in. We're just not helping. As for the 12 of Brian Newman, Roger Penske on the radio, spotting for him, encouraging him. But the car is just still too tight, Matt.
Robbie Gordon having a very solid run in the 11th position. His teammate Jeff Burton back in 12th. Now Robbie's car sliding the nose, just no rear grip. They made an air pressure adjustment and wedge to try to fix that. Meanwhile, the 30, Jeff Burton is having a very solid run as well. No adjustment. He says, I don't know what we can do to make this race car better. Last week at Michigan, he finished 12th. The best run for that 30 car all year.
Matt, the winner of the last 3 races here at Bristol's going to have to get back on the lead lap. He's going to win tonight. Currently in the 13th position for Kurt Busch. He says, when I match the gas, front end just will not stick like it used to. I don't have the same feel in this car that I've had before. Tony Stewart has been tied all night long. They've tried several things trying to loosen that 20 car up. So far, not working. He's had 6 top 10s in the last 7 races, Bill.
Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 came out in the top 10 after his last pit stop. Then he's gone backwards faster than Wally with the check comes. The car is just tight and continues to push up in the center.
Alan.
Very nice.
Faster than what?
The faster than you when the check comes.
At the restaurant.
Very good, Roger.
This has been an exceptionally clean Sharpie 500, though it didn't start out that way. 5 cautions in the first 100 laps, none in the 200 laps since. By the way, the last Sharpie 500 with fewer than 8 caution flags, 1986. Junior leads at Bristol. how to get on TV at a night race.
It's a good way.
Those folks did that last year, too. We appreciate them thinking of us.
About that.
Looks like they ran out of some lights for that T, though, on the end. See if we can run some down.
Yeah, okay.
And I tell you what, that's motorhome, and there's a lot of camping around this racetrack. I read in the newspaper this morning, 8,500 motel rooms in this area. And we got 160,000 people here. A lot of camping going on.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the race leader in the Sharpie 500 at 321 laps. He's out in front of Jimmy Johnson by 11 seconds on a track where they're lapping in 16.8 seconds. Kevin Harvick falling back, and falling back big, Dave.
When there's long green flag laps on this track, Alan, it can wear you out physically. Kevin Harvick's arms are asleep. He's looking for a backup driver. So anybody that, he almost has a wreck in front of him to get the caution, but he's looking for a backup driver right now because he cannot operate his vehicle correctly.
Well, here's the deal. You run these long greens and you can't get in, you can't get a drink of water, you can't put the ice pack. And I'll tell you what, you get dehydrated here. Like I talked about earlier, this is the most physical racetrack you run. And I have had Charlie horses during this race, and boy, is that fun.
These drivers, every one of them right now, running 200 laps of green flag on this racetrack. They're every one of them struggling for some energy.
I don't know what the temperature is outside right now. It's hard to tell from up in here. Weber, you might be able to help us out with this, but it's a pretty warm and humid night here, too.
Yeah, it's very muggy. There's just a slight hint of a breeze, but that's, you know, they've really built this place into a huge bowl, Alan. It's very still in here, you know. I think they used to call it close, but it's humid and it's you know, it's uncomfortable. I can't imagine what it's like in the cars.
You know, all these drivers really hydrate themselves. They actually start 2 or 3 days before the race.
Caution is out. There you hear. And so, debris turn 1, the yellow flag at lap 327, 6th caution of the race. Last time they went back green was at 98.
So who could he get? Nemechek, Kevin LePage to drive the 29 car?
Well, maybe now that he gets the caution and he gets some fluid in him, maybe his arms will, the feeling will come back.
Yeah, because cautions at this racetrack will breed cautions.
Now, 173 to go. That is going to be on the bubble as far as tires and fuel are concerned. Well, not with fuel, but with tires. This could get interesting where strategy is concerned.
Someone told us today at 325 they're going to stop for the last time. They're going to stop. Now, I don't know if it's going to be for the last time or not.
Just before the caution came out, Elliott Sadler was passed by leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's the 7th place runner, so he, instead of Jeff Gordon, is going to get the lucky dog here, and Gordon's going to be still hung a lap down. Ouch.
And since it's here, we'll be ready. We got the stuff here. We just ain't got him yet. I got to get these close up.
Pit road is going to be closed here for a second. They have some barriers, water-filled barriers protecting where the pit crews are on the ends of the pit road here at Bristol. One of them's leaking. Back at Bristol, under caution, and the pit road has just been opened for the 6 cars that are on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray, Dale Jarrett, Matt Kenseth, and Sterling Marlin. Dave.
Great news for Dale Jarrett. No changes needed to his car. Temperatures are just fine. DJ very happy with the way the car is running now. They'll change 4 tires and send him slowly down around this pit road. Matt?
Earnhardt Jr. in on the front stretch side of pit road. Marty.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. said his car starts off loose, comes in real nice, a little too tight at the end of the run, half round of wedge, trying to loosen it up in the middle of the run. Jimmy Johnson behind him in 2nd place, said they're doing awesome. Car at the start of the run, pushing a little bit off late in the run, air pressure adjustment trying to help him out. Jamie McMurray, little loose end, half pound into the right rear, trying to tighten up that race car.
And now the cars that are not on the lead lap beginning to work their way down the pit road, and that's about 2/3 of the field, Matt.
The 16 of Greg Biffle stops a little short in his box so his teammate Mark Martin can get around his car easily into his stall. Chassis adjustment with wedge and track bar to try to free this race car up. He was extremely tight. Now he's got trouble getting out. He is blocked in by his teammate Mark Martin. Now he's finally away. Dave.
Matt, Kevin Harvick moving slowly down pit road right now. They decided not to put Kyle Petty in the car yet. He is standing by. They gave Kevin some padding for his under his right arm to help prop his shoulder up to hopefully relieve that asleep situation especially at his right arm. Weber?
Well, it's just been a battle for Jeff Gordon. A long pit stop after taking a spring rubber out of the left rear to try and help that car, which has just been way too tight for Gordon in the 24.
And now he's going to be behind about 4 or 5 other cars that are a lap down, Bill, so he won't be in great position to try and get that lap back on the restart. Earnhardt Jr. clearly holding the lead off the set of pit stops, and we're under caution with 168 to go here in Bristol.
Let's get you some padding or something you can put under your butt, jack you up a little bit. Somebody be hustling for a pad. Don't care who. Got to have some pad for the bottom of the seat, a couple inches worth.
Get him a little bit higher in the seat to try to get that seat pressure off from underneath his arm, right, Wally?
Right. The way the seat comes on these cars, it's right underneath your armpit and it's cutting off the circulation. Dave.
The other thing they asked him to do, Wally, how hard is this? Pull yourself over to the left when you're on the straightaway to take the pressure off of it under green conditions.
Impossible, Dave. You can't do that.
Impossibility is right.
Now, this is going to be an interesting restart because you got a lot of strong cars down on the bottom. But Earnhardt gets a great start.
Just 7 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to get around Kevin Harvick, who was that first car a lap down to the inside.
But he didn't clear him.
And actually, Harvick is 2 laps down. He's not even the first one lap down. That'd be Robbie Gordon right there.
Oh, man.
Scooted up the hill.
Yep, and I'm telling you, these cars, the fresh tires, we talked about it earlier, these cars are so soft. You go into the corner, the car bottoms out, and you shoot up the racetrack. That's what happened to Robbie.
And so Robbie no longer the lucky dog. The guy in position for that, that'll be Jeff Burton now in the 30. And you see there, 42, Jamie McMurray. He's in 4th place, trying to work his way through the traffic. That's actually a race for 4th and 5th in the traffic. McMurray 42 and Kenseth 17.
Oh, little bump on the 31 car. Marty, what about the 42 car?
This car has been very fast, BP. They made a very slight air pressure adjustment on the last stop, a little bit loose, trying to tighten up the 42 car. We talked about drivers getting tired here. It is hot here at Bristol tonight. Jamie is running a new seat. It's a carbon fiber seat that he's run all year long, but this tonight, it has holes in the back of it. Air. Whoa, that's a good point. Air going to his back. He just reported, I feel very comfortable and very good.
And the carbon fiber, Marty, it doesn't hold the heat like the aluminum seats do. So that's why it's a lot cooler for him.
Jeremy Mayfield slipping and sliding.
He had a moment up there in 3 and 4. I don't know if it's car. No, it still looks like he might have a flat tire on the 19th. The guy that was.
That's him.
I don't know.
He thinks he's got flat tires hitting pit road.
So Jeremy Mayfield 11th in the race to the chase. He's got problems.
Right rear.
Yep. And with 156 laps to go, Bill, big.
I'll make that switch down pit road for right side tires. Creeping toward his pit stall. Slide it in there. Have to be careful he doesn't go over the line. Just 2 right side tires here, but this costly for another guy trying to get into that race for the championship. On his way.
But one thing this does do for Jeremy Mayfield, he now can make it the rest of the way without stopping again. And some of the leaders might have to stop for fuel.
And he's got to hope this thing stays green the whole way, though.
Let's go back to that race for 4th. As Matt Kenseth continues to press. Jamie McMurray, 17 on 42.
Okay, now we're going to lose our patience. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
McMurray is going to lay the bumper to Robbie here. Well,
if
he may not get a shot to. Yeah, Matt's going to go underneath.
And Jeff Gordon in the mix with these cars. Jeff in 12th place, 1 lap down.
Now we'll see if the 17 uses his bumper. It'll be pretty smooth if he does it, Matt.
It's actually Dave, Wally, but we know that Matt Kenseth is smooth on the track. Even if he tries the bump and run, he needed better grip on the car, so they made an air pressure adjustment on their last stop. Another great stop for them. Matt, to you now.
Kane, the 31, right in front of the 17. Robbie Gordon kissed him on the radio, said it is too free in the center of the corner. That's my problem. Meanwhile, his teammate, the 30, he is motoring away from the 88.
So the updates there on Kenseth, now the 4th place driver. And some of the guys racing for that lucky dog spot right now to see if they can be the first one to lap down should the caution flag come out there.
That's a moving target right now.
Yes, it is. Marty?
Gallon, just real quick on the 42 car, came on the radio a lap ago, said, guys, now it's too tight, fading back a little bit from the 17.
The 17 wants by badly. And I think the 17's faster than Robbie, but that real estate, they both want it, BP.
And there's going to be a big argument of that real estate in just a little bit.
Get closer to the finish.
What was that?
Like a piece of tire or something.
By the way, Jeremy Mayfield, after the unscheduled stop, 3 laps down, 27th place. You know, watching all this, I talked about you can spot the place in traffic where the backup is. This is the backup now.
And I'm telling you what, Robbie's car is loose. Dave was right. I mean,
how about this? For the lead.
Wow.
Jimmy Johnson out in front in his backup car. And Jeff Burton, first 1 lap down. He's going to go by Dale Jr. Jr. slides in front of Dale Jarrett, hangs on to the 2nd spot. How about that 48, Marty?
Yeah, what a recovery for this team in a backup car, driving the car that won at Darlington, finished 2nd in California, of course wrecked his primary yesterday. They've told Jimmy, you're doing a great job, the car is excellent. They were going to make no changes on the last stop, decided the last minute to make a wedge adjustment. Jimmy very happy with the car, and the caution is out.
That would be debris in turn 4. And it would be yellow flag number 7.
That did not help Jeremy Mayfield.
Sure helped Jeff Burton. He's the lucky dog, and he has a very, very fast race car.
So that 30 car, 2nd in line, is going to come around the pace car and come back around on the lead lap and join the chase for a good finish.
And right now, only 7 cars on the lead lap, so.
Yep. So pit road is going to be open this time. We'll see if we get any takers when they go around turn 2. I wouldn't expect many.
The ones that can't make it, could make it the rest of the way at 325.
Well, Junior giving up 2nd place.
Evidently something is wrong with this A car. He must want to make an adjustment.
Comes Kenseth?
No. McMurray. Marlin. Elliott Sadler.
Guys that couldn't make it. And again, you brought up a very good point a while ago. Only 7 cars on the lead lap, so it's not a huge gamble right now. Marty?
Junior could have made it all the way, BP. on the fuel that he had, but he was not happy with that set of tires. He said the car was just way too loose as it had been all day long. They're going to come in, make an air pressure adjustment on the 8 car, give him 4 tires, hoping he can make it back through the field. He's led more laps at Bristol tonight than he's ever led in a Bristol race before. He's obviously got a fast car, but can he win with it?
So that's 5 of the 7, now 5 of 8 lead lap cars who come in as Jeff Burton goes around the pace car and joins the tail end of the field.
And when Junior, you know, they put those tires on, and for some reason those tires didn't grip as well, and sometimes you get that in a set of tires. So I think that was a safe move.
And again, a lot of the other cars pitted, so he's going to come out about second or third on this deal. Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jarrett did not stop. Dave, Kevin Harvick coming down to attention of his pit.
And once again, Kyle Petty, whose 45 car is out of this race, wrecked earlier, has been called to replace Kevin in the cockpit. They're about the same size height, while Kyle may be a little bit taller, and hopefully able to overcome that right shoulder situation that Kevin was having. Get his right arm falling asleep. They know they have to get someone in there, so they'll pull Kevin out, and they'll put Kyle Petty in the 29 car.
And they're going to lose at least a couple of laps making this driver change, at least one, getting Kyle strapped in as the pace car is almost around to them now.
And this is they're going to take a hit in points because of this.
So big turn there for some of the drivers in the race to the chase in the late stages here at Bristol tonight. Relief drivers used to be not an uncommon thing here at Bristol, right, BP?
Oh, no. I came here with John A. Yesman about every time I came in the 70s. I finally figured out how to hold my head up, and it was okay after that. But
you actually won a race with a relief driver here, right?
Yeah. John A. and I won the race by 7 laps.
So Harvick getting attention for the numb left arm. And Kyle Petty still strapping aboard that 29 machine.
It's tough to make driver changes in these cars today, though, because there's a lot more seat, there's a lot more safety equipment that we wear, and it's a lot harder. It takes a lot longer.
So under caution here at Thunder Valley, 7th one of the race, and the leader is Jimmy Johnson. We'll be back. Half a lap from the restart here at Bristol Motor Speedway. There'll be 137 laps to go in the Sharpie 500. 8 cars on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, the top 5, followed by Sterling Marlin, Elliott Sadler, and Jeff Burton. Kyle Petty coming back out on track in Kevin Harvick's 29 in 29th place.
But he's still going to lose another lap because he pitted on the caution. He's got to come down pit road at 30. He came back on the racetrack, so maybe he doesn't have to.
That'll cost him. He'll have to come back.
I thought he had to run 30 miles.
Oh, Newman, man, he drove it in there. He wants that lap back bad.
Yeah, Newman is the first car lap down in the 12 in 9th place.
Oh, we got trouble.
Dale Jarrett.
Sterling Marlin goes around. Tony Stewart goes around.
Now it gets nailed by.
Cautions breed cautions.
Dale Jarrett running second. One of the drivers in that race to the chase, and he gets turned around with 135 laps to go.
He may be okay though. I don't think.
Doesn't look like
I don't think he got hit. And the 31 gets into the back of the 88, perhaps. Yep.
Looks like the 31 got on the apron of the race. I tell you what, look at. How in the world those guys go on the apron and control the thing?
I will say this for Robbie. I think he got on the apron trying to stay off.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, he got down there, but the problem is sometimes when you get down on that apron, like BP says, it shoots you back up the racetrack.
So caution flag is out here at Bristol. This is number 8. Second place runner Dale Jarrett gets spun around. A couple of others tangled up in behind him. Bristol, Tennessee, in the Bristol Motor Speedway. NASCAR on TNT with live coverage of the Sharpie 500 for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. After a kind of timid center section of the race with more than 200 laps of consecutive green flag racing, we're sending the sparks flying and stacking up the yellow flags now. Dale Jarrett is falling back to 8th from 2nd after getting turned around over in turn number 2.
Yeah, the restart, Robbie, he was down on the apron actually trying to avoid contact with the 88. He couldn't go any lower than he could, but
we check it out. He got down in the corner a little bit too strong.
And you see the different angle of it, and boy, Matt Kenseth just gets by 88 car.
Sterling Marlin punted by Carl Edwards. Tony Stewart clobbered by Jeff Green.
Boy.
Here's the shot that tells it all. Goes down further. I mean, there's just nowhere else to go.
Rusty Walsh, you're going to be able to see the 99 car go in there. Bam! In the back of the 40 car.
And so pit stops here. The pit road just having been opened. Dale Jarrett is in along with Sterling Marlin and Tony Stewart. And the cars involved in this wreck getting repairs made. We'll get some further updates in just a minute. Back at Bristol, half a lap from the restart of the Sharpie 500. The NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on TNT with 127 laps to go in the green flag waves. Napa Field summary. 10 leaders tonight. The race dominated, though, by Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's led 195 of the 372 laps. 7 cars out of the race. And the lead changes inflated some by a run of green flag pit stops we had mid-race.
Green flag.
97 got a good jump.
Kurt Busch trying to win 4 straight here at Bristol. That would put him tail end of the lead lap Jimmy Johnson.
Nice restart. I'm a little surprised with Robbie. He was kind of sleeping there a little bit on that restart.
Jimmy Johnson, the leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr. second. Matt Kenseth third. Jamie McMurray fourth. Elliott Sadler fifth. Followed by Jeff Burton, Sterling Marlin, Dale Jarrett now in eighth, and Ryan Newman, the lucky dog on that last caution, lead lap, ninth place. For the lead, Earnhardt Jr. inside of Jimmy Johnson. That 48 car's been wiggling and wobbling since we went back to green.
Well, we can see I can wiggle and wobble towards that 8 car because Junior has some fresh tires on there, better than the 48 car. Marty, what about the 48? Has he complained?
No, he's not complaining. He said the car's a little bit free, but I'm a good free, is what he said as Jamie McMurray made a nice save there. Chad Knaus came over the radio under that caution. He said, you're doing an excellent job. I've never been more proud of you tonight than I have ever. Big compliment for Jimmy Johnson tonight, Matt.
And a 31 of Robbie Gordon runs in the 11th position. Under that caution, NASCAR notified the 31 team that if he hits any more cars tonight, he will go to the garage.
Oh, there they started to argue with that real estate, didn't they, Wally?
Yeah, he was wanting down there, but Jeff Gordon was filling it.
Here's Robbie's problem.
He's got a big problem.
Well, he was trying to stay as being the first guy a lap down, and he's got these lead lap cars all surrounding him.
Yeah. If I'm Matt Kenseth, I'm going to lay the bumper to him really quick. And I know Robbie's trying to do everything he can to be in the lucky dog position, but Matt's got a good race car, and he's got to go.
Well, Robbie's no longer in the lucky dog position.
Okay,
when Jeff Gordon went by him, that was for that spot. So Gordon now the first one a lap down. In 11th place, Robbie Gordon. Jeff that was. Robbie back in 12th. Matt Kenseth waving at him out the window saying, why you?
When you talk about looking out the window and seeing that jam up, yep, once again, there it is.
That would be the pressure point.
He's going to get tagged if he can get to him.
And all this behind Robbie Gordon are racing for position on the lead lap. Kenseth, McMurray, Sadler, Jeff Burton. Robbie up out of the way. Matt?
This 30 team is having an awesome run tonight. Rocky Ryan, who is Jeff Burton's spotter, said the 17 of Kenseth and the 31 of Gordon are feeding on each other pretty good. Stay on your toes. Be cautious in case something happens. Luckily, the 17 has motored by.
Now his teammates behind him.
Now, this is one guy you really don't want to hold up because he's racing for the best position for Richard Childress Racing.
And Richard's going to get on the radio and tell him, Robbie, move out of the way. Let Jeff Burton go.
Laps to go, watching the pressure point on the field, if you will. The front cars in front of this group spread out somewhat. Earnhardt Jr., Johnson. The first car lap down, Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, Elliott Sadler. Those cars all kind of spaced out on the racetrack at the moment. Jeff Burton by his teammate. Brian Vickers, 25, not on the lead lap.
Now, Mark Martin, the 6 car, is up there. Oh,
there's a shot.
He gives a bumper to that 25 car and says, okay, oh, trouble.
Rusty Wallace, crunch.
Oh, man. Bobby Labonte.
Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart again.
Casey Kane. Who's that radiator steaming? That's Carl's.
Carl Edwards.
Michael Waltrip got some damage in it. He's continued away, but he's driving around the racetrack smoking. And caution is out for the 9th time in the race.
It all started, I guess, when Mark and the 25 car got together. Rusty gets in the back of the 16. DJ gets in the back of Rusty and somehow gets by.
Oh, man. Tony Stewart got a piece of that. Pretty big one.
Nowhere to go.
This would be the accordion effect.
You see, the guys check up in front of you, so you check up, but it just stacks up behind you, and unfortunately, that's what happens. And fortunately, you get caught up in somebody else's mess.
Gracious. How many times they hit him?
2 or 3.
Man.
Most everyone has driven away from the accident scene except Carl Edwards. We'll follow up on the damage when we come back. Pit road is closed right now here at Bristol.
Go ahead and cut that off.
The wind's all whacked out too.
Carl Edwards not enjoying his first Nextel Cup experience here at Bristol tonight. He's got that Bristol anger look going. Dave?
17 of Matt Kenseth, a little bit tight. They make a wide adjustment for that. 4 tires. They hated to take those off because that was a set they really felt good about. Marty?
Jimmy Johnson, your leader, coming in pit road. His car right now is a little bit looser. He says looser than it's been all evening. They had a pound to the right-left rear tire, rather, trying to tighten up that car. Said it wasn't like that before. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the stall in front of him. The car is good. No changes for him. Bill?
The 42 of Jamie McMurray. They talked about taking 2. McMurray said, let's put 4 on and let her eat. Let's see what happens.
Jeff Burton did not pit.
I think it's good strategy. I don't have any problem with that.
Oh, watch it.
You got to stop down there, boys.
Let the traffic clear. The stop paddle is up. We'll get back going here in a minute. So Jeff Burton's going to take over the lead of the Sharpie 500 with 109 laps to go. His team choosing to stay out on the track under this caution. Big mess off of turn 2. Has put the yellow flag out and got the cleanup crews kind of busy.
riding around under caution. 394 laps complete on a hot, sultry night here in the Tennessee Hills at the Bristol Motor Speedway. You know, it takes a lot to run this half mile at Bristol, a very demanding racetrack. Elliott Sadler's team currently in 5th, and the subject of today's Built for Tough moment is exactly how you prepare a car for the Bristol Motor Speedway. What you do is you just reinforce everything, and you lift everything up in the race car. The frame rails are higher, the engines are higher, there's more front braces on the front, there's more braces on the rear of the car, so you can withstand all those bumps you can expect during a race. You have also Goodyear brings a different tire here. You have to be prepared for that, and you have to select the right shocks to withstand this demanding racetrack. Check out the website there. And Elliott Sadler currently having a fairly nice run in 5th position, Alan.
Okay, Marty, his teammate for Robert Yates Racing, Dale Jarrett, continues to go on and off pit road under this caution. We'll get a further update on that in a moment, but they're still cleaning up under the yellow flag in the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. One laps to go, and we go back racing in the Sharpie 500 at Bristol for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Jeff Burton, Ryan Newman, top 2, did not pit under the caution flag. And back on the lead lap, Kurt Busch, trying for 4 straight, was in front of the leader when the yellow waved, and behind him, Jeff Gordon, the lucky dog of that last caution. Dale Jarrett is in 10th place on the lead lap, made several pit stops under the yellow. We'll get an update there in a minute. Why is Jeff Gordon being black flagged? He did not go to the end of the line on the restart where he belonged, okay? So as soon as he got it back, Jeff Gordon's going to lose it.
He's going to lose more than that.
Right down in that one for the championship leader. Bill?
Well, Robbie Loomis is really upset. He came down off the pit box, talked to the officials, made sure they were where they were supposed to be, told Jeff Gordon where to go. Jeff said, I was there, they waved me by. If they waved you by, they said you could go in front of them. Loomis continuing his discussion with the officials on pit road right now. Very unhappy.
Yeah, he's being posted now.
And NASCAR race control being a damn it that the 24 hit now or his next lap will not be scored.
Understand that. They need to talk to Kyle. He's the one who waved me by. Turn 4 drive-through.
Turn 4 drive-through. I guess he will only lose 1 lap.
We'll see. So Jeff Gordon off the pace, your championship leader, with a little dispute with the referees. Here comes Jeff, 30 miles an hour down pit road.
What do you want me to do? Drive-through. It's a drive-through.
Boy, that is a long, long stretch.
Leader just goes by.
35 miles per hour. Feels like you're going backwards.
So it'll be 1 lap plus the field that Jeff Gordon will be down after just getting back on the lead lap. Here's the race for second. You see Jeff Burton, the leader, is pulled away from these two. Ryan Newman and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Earnhardt Jr. with much fresher tires. Newman not pitting under this caution.
And Jr. with probably a better car tonight here at Bristol. Now he's by Newman and sets off after the 30 car, Jeff Burton.
So Jeff Gordon has only ended up 15th. The last car 1 lap down. Now this is Jimmy Johnson, 48, Elliott Sadler, 38 for 4th and 5th positions.
And these guys are in some traffic.
And Mark Martin and Robbie Gordon are battling for position. That's for 12th.
And that's what you're doing everything you can to get by the guy in front of you. And then you look up in the mirror and you see there's somebody right behind you, right under you.
Mark Martin in the 6th, 13th place. The 3rd car, 1 lap down. He is racing for 12th with Robbie Gordon in the 31.
Mark's going to let him go, get back in line. Now, if Jimmy Johnson can get underneath the 31 and Mark can stay with Jimmy Johnson, he can follow him through.
Looks like Mark is struggling just a little bit with his 6 car now to get around the racetrack. He went down to turn 3 and it looked like he had the same problem that a lot of other has. He bottomed out in that corner and the car moved up.
Just like Marty's report, you know, they're building these cars, everything's up so that they can get the car stopped. So they come down, and that's exactly right. What's the 38 saying, Marty?
Not very happy right now, Wally. He came on the radio under the last caution, said it's had the least amount of grip it's had all night long. Right now, I don't know what to do. I'm trying the best I can. Todd Parrott, his crew chief, came back on the radio, said, you're doing a great job. Hang in there. Let's get a top 10 out of the night.
Dale Jarrett is running in 10th place after several pit stops under that last caution, Dave.
I wanted to define several for you, Alan. Several with 6 stops during that last round of yellow flag, and they think they made the right changes to it. DJ hasn't said a thing on the radio, and he's up to good speed right now.
So Jarrett trying to hang in there after getting bumped and spun around over in turn number 2. Up front, hadn't taken Junior long to run down Jeff Burton. And it's probably not going to take long to go by. How about the 30 car, Matt?
Last pitted on lap 369. They made a tug on the left front fenders. He loses that spot to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Tug on the left front fender. Also a slight air pressure adjustment. They felt like this set of tires was the best that he's had all night. He didn't run through any debris, so he wanted to stay out and see if he could get what he could get. Come on.
Matt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has led more laps than anyone tonight, trying to lap Rusty Wallace again. The car's been very fast on the last stop. No changes for Junior. He told the guys, very happy with the car. It's very good. I think we got a win coming tonight.
Not sure it looked that way.
I'll tell you what, this is what this team needs to get ready for that final 10 races in the chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Get some confidence up. Get a good car under the belt, which they have tonight.
Boy, they do. Yeah, because it's been a lousy couple of months for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's finished out of the top 10 in 5 of the last 6 races since Chicago. Our little Debbie lap leaders on the night will show you that it's been Junior a lot. 2:14, next most laps led, Rusty Wallace.
And he's just had that car down on the bottom all night, Benny. That, I mean, you know, that's what you got to do to get around this place. But see, look at that. Hugs the bottom.
Junior, one of 10 different drivers that have led so far tonight.
This car looks a lot like the 8 car that Martin Truex drove here in the spring in the NASCAR Busch Series race. I think with what Junior learned last night, what they had in the 8 car in the spring is one reason he's running so well tonight.
Been a rally back night for Ryan Newman. Billy's up to 3rd.
Oh, he sure has. Remember when he sat on the wagon during the Discover Car countdown to green? You don't just got to keep the nose clean. You got to try and keep the whole car clean. And he's done a relatively good job with that. He got his lap back as the lucky dog. He pitted for 4 tires, fuel, and no changes. The car is good. He picked up a lot of spots where those other guys pitted on the last caution. We'll see what happens in the last 80 laps, 75 laps.
Ryan now 2.6 seconds behind leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. Newman coming into this race in 13th place in the Nextel Cup Championship standings, 44 points out of 10th place. So what does the race to the chase look like now with all of some of these goings on here lately?
Ryan Newman has moved back into the top 10. Kane out. He's 27 back. Martin up to 12th, but he's 30 points back.
Look at how tight that is.
Man, and McMurray and Jarrett at this point tied.
Here's my thought on the broader picture of that tonight. With all the things that have happened to all the different people, right now, the order of them hasn't changed that much, aside of Newman sliding in there by a spot. Yeah. Most of the guys, you know, we saw Bobby Labonte get spun. We've had Harvick out of the car, Kyle Petty in.
But it's just tightened everything up, and which makes these next couple of weeks even more important.
Let's get an update on Kevin Harvick's car, now being driven by Kyle Petty. Dave?
Actually, Alan, I wanted to update you on Kevin Harvick. He is not able to talk to us right now because he's too dehydrated. His seat actually dug into his left bicep, according to his team. That was the biggest problem. Then it went numb. Very hard to race a car that way, and that led to the dehydration. Kevin apologized for not coming out to talk to us. Dr. Jay Golden, the RCR team physician, is attending to him, getting him full of fluids and trying to get him back to health now. He'll sit in his hauler and watch the rest of this race.
And, you know, that's a tough job for Kyle. I mean, Kyle's getting in an unfamiliar race car. I'm sure it doesn't fit very well, and he's just trying to do the best he can for that race team.
And the 29 car now being shown 6 laps down in 25th place. Don't forget Kevin Harvick. This is the 3rd race he's driven here this weekend. He ran a Craftsman truck Wednesday night in the NASCAR Busch Series race last night. So Dale Earnhardt Jr. is out in front with 70 laps to go. In theory, having made his last pit stop on the night, but we'll see if the yellow flag waves again. You never know what might happen. Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers performing fairly well tonight here in Thunder Valley.
The Sharpie 500 on TNT is brought to you by Sharpie, Right Out Loud, by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American revolution, and by Aflac. Ask about it at work.
62 laps to go in the Sharpie 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is gone from second place right now.
I guess he is. I mean, fun when you have a car like that here.
3.2 seconds is the gap from first to second. It's all Junior right now here at Bristol. Marty?
Yeah, career start number 171, trying to win number 13. Looks like that might be a pretty good possibility to do that tonight. And you talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and people who might have counted this team out to win the championship, that might have been a premature mistake. They have several tests left for the last 10 races of the season, like many of the teams who will be in the chase for the championship do. They start next week in New Hampshire, then they go to Dover, then to Martinsville, then Charlotte, then Kansas, then Phoenix, then Homestead, all in the next 10 weeks trying to get ready for the chase for the championship. The 8 team is determined they can win this championship. If they do win tonight, that will be a big boost confidence-wise into proving that they can.
Junior has been dominant here at Bristol this weekend, not just tonight. Here's a race for 7th place. Here's that 97 car. Kurt Busch hasn't been in the focus much tonight. Started pretty deep in the pack, way back in the 24th spot.
8th spot now.
Got lucky. Well, actually didn't even need the lucky dog. He passed the leader on a restart and was out in front with the caution wave to get himself back on the lead lap and try to make it 4 straight, leading us to...
It's time?
Yep.
Cue the duck.
Our Aflac NASCAR Next Cup trivia question. Who was the first driver to win 4 straight NASCAR Next Cup races at Bristol Motor Speedway? And if you listen to me earlier this weekend, you get it wrong because I had it wrong.
Maybe Cale Yarborough?
It was Cale Yarborough. Very good, BP.
Hey! How about that?
Good, BP.
Cale won 4 straight races here, sweeping both the 76 and 77 events, all driving for Junior Johnson while racing for 3 straight championships. There's Darrell Waltrip, another 4 straight winner here, part of his record 7 straight Bristol victories. And now Kurt Busch going for his 4th straight win at Bristol.
You better hurry. Yeah, you better hurry. He's running out of time, Wally. Cale and Darrell both driving for Junior Johnson when they won all those races here at Bristol. Here, battle for second spot. Newman goes to second.
Only one problem for him. He's 4.5 seconds behind Dale Jr., Matt.
Alan, the big picture for both Dale Jr. and Ryan Newman is the championship this year. The big picture for the 30-car Jeff Burton, just put that car in victory lane before season's end. Their bigger picture is 2005. They're continuing to try to gain confidence, continuing to try to gel. The best finish this team has ever had was the second 2 years ago with Jeff Reed in New Hampshire. Trying to knock down a top 5. They are having a very stellar night.
Yes, they are.
I tell you now, he's got some pressure coming from behind by Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. You know, Jimmy told me Friday just before qualifying, he said, I just cannot qualify at this racetrack. I seem to race over it okay, but I qualify poorly. And boy, is he correct. He does race well here. Because he had to start at the rear, and here he is trying to battle for the 3rd spot. Jimmy is battling for the 3rd spot.
Jimmy Johnson's team pitting at lap 21 under an early yellow, then not pitting at lap 57 when most of the front runners did. It got him in a track position. Moved him up to 4th, as a matter of fact, at that time. And Johnson has held his spot near the front of the line the rest of the night. 4.6 seconds behind leader Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I tell you, he's going in a hurry, and you better get out of his way, because if you don't, he's going to move you out of the way.
Did he do that?
He came up behind Scott Riggs here off of turn 4, and look at the closing speed he had. Got the back. Riggs did a great job saving that car. But Junior's got to be careful. I mean, that could have bit him.
He's so much faster than most of the other cars. He's having a problem trying to judge his speed relative to theirs.
He's got the best car out there. He's just got to be patient right now and pick his spots. He can't just sit back and cruise because you've got Ryan Newman behind you, but he's just got to be careful.
So Junior clearly in command. I use the word on purpose. Another way to follow the race during the action is to log on to NASCAR.com and check out Pit Command, real-time telemetry. Set up your favorite driver's view. Follow along, in this case, with Junior and Ryan Newman comparing their lap times, their telemetries, and all the rest.
As you see them go around, you see that Junior's one full corner in front of Ryan Newman.
NASCAR.com for more. 44 laps to go. Here at Bristol, now 43. Our last break during green flag action. Will Dale Earnhardt Jr. go to victory lane for the 4th time in 2004? Tonight, he is back in 14th place, the 4th car 1 lap down after a penalty earlier. It is all Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now. Let's take you through the field, certainly through the lead lap cars. There are 10 of them. Marty Snyder with an update on the leader, Earnhardt Jr.
Just an awesome performance from Dale Earnhardt Jr. tonight, obviously leading the most laps. He's had nothing on this run. The car is excellent. No changes on the last top, going for his 3rd career short track win, Bill.
Marty, only one guy goes to victory lane at Bristol, but there are going to be several winners here tonight, including the 12 car of Ryan Newman. That car wasn't very good yesterday. Right now, 2nd, just over 30 laps to go.
Last week, Jeff Burton debuted in this 30 car, scored the team's best finish this season of 12. Tonight, he's working on their first top 5 finish since last summer with Steve Park in Michigan. He hasn't said anything on the radio, just motoring along. 32 laps left to go to get this car in the top 5. Marty?
Matt, 3 laps ago, Jimmy Johnson came on the radio, said the car is getting tighter, but after 3 weeks of engine failures and being in a backup car this week, this is a solid run for the 48 team, having a very, very good night. Elliott Sadler, the 38 car you're looking at, sliding around, no grip, hanging on though. Todd Parrott, his crew chief, telling him you're doing a great job. Todd? Dave?
40 car of Sterling Martin. Remember, he started 3rd tonight, ran in the top 10 all night long, and even after he got spun on lap 370, has done very well. Pitted for 2 tires on lap 391 with no changes. Marty, back to you.
Dave, Jamie McMurray told me before the night started, we just need a top 10 tonight. So far, they had that, running in the 7th position and then 15th in points. Pretty happy with this car. What a rebound for Kurt Busch. Was 36 in this race at one point, has gotten back on the lead lap. Loose when the car starts out. It gets tighter the longer he runs. He'll salvage a top 10 out of what could have been a much worse night, Dave.
Marty, Matt Kent's has stopped for 4 tires on lap 391 and made a wedge adjustment, but he just radioed in and said, my car's too tight. I just can't do anything with these guys. Behind him, Dale Jarrett, again stopping on lap 391, just went down a lap to leader Dale Earnhardt Jr., but they stayed on the lead lap after making all those repairs, and now Jr. fighting, actually Dale Jarrett fighting in 10th place, Alan.
We knew what you were trying to say there, Dave. DJ trying to hang on to his top 10 finish at this point. Greg Biffle, the next guy he is racing for that spot.
It's pretty confusing because everybody, you know, so scattered on who's on the lead lap, who's not.
So the race to the chase, Jeff Gordon losing ground to Jimmy Johnson tonight if they finish as they are, with Johnson running 4th and Jeff running 14th. Ryan Newman moving back into the top 10. And guys who earlier tonight looked like they had opportunities to crack that group finding problems at various points through the night and really not getting any help. Still tight.
Very tight.
But what might have been. Remember, Dale Jarrett was running second when he got spun around.
Junior's in a lot of traffic right here. This is where Ryan Newman can make up a lot of ground if he can't get through the traffic.
Don't forget, next weekend, it's the new Labor Day weekend event for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series in the California Speedway. Under the lights, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC. 1 week from tomorrow. The race to the chase down then to 2 events. And it's back on TNT in Richmond, Virginia, 2 weeks from tonight under the lights. Junior trying to put Jeff Gordon 2 laps down.
Boy, don't you know that makes him feel good talking about Junior, because he is Jeff Gordon had sat on the pole and looked like his car looked like he was the favorite to win this race, and Junior's now lapping the 24 car.
I know it makes an awful lot of people wearing red shirts in this crowd feel good, because a lot of them were just jumping up and down. 21 laps to go. What a night for Dale Jr. Started back in 30th place, pitted early in the race. Back on lap 37, then stayed out on lap 58 when the other front runners pitted, got himself track position, and has held it for the rest of the night.
I'll tell you one thing, that's going to be one exhausted young man when this thing is over. I think every driver out there, all 40 of them or 30 of them are going to be exhausted when this thing's over. That 200 lap run of green flag in the middle just got the most of them.
Sammy Johnson just got by Jeff Burton for a spot.
Beat the 3rd place. So good recovery. For the 48 driver after 3 straight weeks of problems that found him in the garage long before the checkered flag was scheduled to wave. And going to California next week, a track where Jimmy Johnson runs very well. Former winner there.
You know these guys on the 30 team got to be pretty happy.
I would think.
They've struggled this year.
Jeff Burton finished 12th in 4 of the last 5 races in the last 3 straight. So he's going to be very happy to come up with a top 5 or top 6 finish tonight.
See Biffle there in the 16 car last week's winner in Michigan. This last run, green flag, he has been pretty fast in this 16 car. He is a lap down. He's currently in the 11th position. I don't know if he can catch Dale Jarrett. Don't think he has time, but
he's only got 15 laps to do it, VP. He's got some ground to make up. So up front, the question is, will Dale Jr. get hung in any traffic? If so, is it enough to help Ryan Newman? Answer is probably not, as Newman is about a straightaway behind him at this point.
These guys have been at it for about 50 to 75 laps right here. With Robbie Gordon in 31, Mark in the 6, Sterling in the 40. You got McMurray right there in 42. It's all, these guys have been racing hard.
And Mark realizes, well, that's 3 points in that 31 car in front of him if he can just get by.
Mark is racing Robbie for 12th place. Sterling Marlin not racing with these guys for lead lap spots, but Marlin is racing the 42 and the 97 of McMurray and Kurt Busch right behind him. And then you've got Matt Kenseth, and then the leader, Dale Jr., closing quickly on all of them.
Mark just can't seem to get close enough to the 31 car to really do anything with him so far. Boy, 31 really got a shot off the corner there.
Big story of Mark Martin's night, lap 227 under a green flag pit stop. He came down both pit roads instead of just the one that you do under the green flag, and it dropped him way back in traffic. He never has made up the ground.
And just think what might have been.
Oh, he was easy top 5 car.
I think so.
Easy.
He'll be heartbroken. Leader Dale Jr. just passing Matt Kenseth, putting the 9th place driver a lap down. Marty.
An even more impressive night considering, Alan, on the first stop of the night, they made a wedge and air pressure adjustment. On the second stop, they undid what they did on the first stop. Since then, only 2 air pressure adjustments for the 8 car. It's been awesome from the beginning.
Much needed night of recovery for this Budweiser racing team from Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. Dale Earnhardt Jr. last one on May 15th in Richmond, Virginia. led the championship after 9 races this season, was second after 5 more, dropped to third at the Pocono race.
Sorry, Alan, but I'm looking at stuff out the window.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth got bumped and
there's the retaliation bump. Yeah. Boy, he had a 17. Way out of shape coming off of turn 2.
So anyway, about Junior.
I'll let you know if anything happens out here.
Ooh. One of those kind of things. Just thinking back to July 18th, the day that he was burned in that fire in the sports car race. The morning of the sports car race out in Sonoma, California. What a tough journey it's been for the young man. I remember watching him walk into the garage area in New Hampshire, limping badly, the neck bandaged, wondering probably in the back of his mind if he'd thrown his chance at a championship away or how badly he'd hurt it. Certainly they've had reason to question that over the last month and a half.
But that's one good thing about this new point system that NASCAR has put in place, the chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. He could loaf a couple of races when he was hurt, and he still is in contention.
I'll tell you what, it's great. These next 2 weeks are going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of pressure right now on top 15.
Coming around to 2 to go for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He will have led 294 laps tonight of the 500. His father won here 9 times. He's trying for his first.
And what he does not want to see is
a white flag this time, boss.
A caution flag. Let me get that white flag, he said. Please let me get that white flag.
And here it is, final lap for Dale Earnhardt Jr. 160,000 here at Bristol on their feet. Heavily partisan crowd at a place where his father had so much success. He won the Daytona 500 earlier this year. He'll add another of NASCAR's majors to his resume tonight as Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins the Sharpie 500 at Bristol.
Hey! That's awesome! Good job, Yuri! Hell yeah!
I'll tell you, this place is it is a special win for these guys. This is a tough place to win a race.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the first ever driver to sweep a weekend here at Bristol. The Busch Series race and the Cup race in the same weekend. I know that sounds hard to believe, but that's the fact. He's trying to do his donuts, and other guys are trying to get back to the garage area. There you go. Now the track's yours, Junior.
That's why you make the bumper strong.
Marty?
May have been the first time someone's ever done it here at Bristol, but the third time Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s ever done it in his career. That's a very interesting burnout, isn't it? Tony Eury Sr., that reminded me a lot of his dad. Did it remind you of him?
Yeah, he loves this place. This place in Richmond, he loves it. And, you know, this whole team loves this place. Where could you go racing in front of this many people? You know, they all looks like the whole stands are red up there. So a lot of Budweiser stuff. You know, we've lost this race twice and threw it away a couple times ourselves, loose wheels and stuff like that. So we're just glad to bring her home tonight. That Budweiser Chevy's been awesome all night long, and we needed this because the last 2 months, man, we've been awful, and you know, we just we've had a slump going, and we got it straightened out tonight, I hope.
What a recovery for this race team. An awesome night for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I mean, he's still got tires to roll on, but he burned them off by now.
That looks like a Chevy winning moment to me. Chevrolet congratulating Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 8 Monte Carlo on today's big win. No car has dominated Cup racing like the defending manufacturer's champion, Chevrolet, and American Revolution. Junior going to roll up onto the roof into victory lane. We'll talk with he and the other top finishers in the Sharpie 500. TNT returns to Thunder Valley.
The Sharpie 500 on TNT is brought to you by Sharpie, right out loud. By Nextel coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. And by Miller. Vote Miller for President of Beers. Good call.
And welcome to the Nextel post-race show from Bristol Motor Speedway, where Dale Earnhardt Jr. has won the Sharpie 500 and has just rolled his car into victory lane. Bill?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in victory lane at Bristol, the same place his dad was 5 years ago tonight, the night where he said he just wanted to rattle Terry Labonte's cage. And that night, it wasn't Earnhardt in victory lane, and tonight, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is here after winning the night race at Bristol. And as is common with these guys, there's a big celebration. Did you bring enough towels for everybody? Because we're going to need them here, man.
I killed the motor. What do you think?
Yeah, you had a little fire going on there too.
Well,
tell me about your night.
Oh man, I'm wore out. That's a long green flag run. I think it wore everybody out. First off, I want to say hey to my grandmother Martha, my uncle Randy. Had some heart surgery. He's getting better, and happy birthday again to my sister. All my family members, man, this is one of the biggest wins of my career.
Why is that?
It's Bristol, baby.
But it was a long road getting back to victory lane if you go between your last win and this one, Dale. You've had some tough days.
Yeah, you're going to have that, you know. You can't be number one all the time. That's what makes them sweeter, man. That's what makes the win sweeter. If they's handed to you, you know, wouldn't enjoy them as much. So, man, this is huge for me. This is awesome for my team. We really needed that. Hey, Teresa. I know she's enjoying this. This is awesome.
You've been coming here for a long time. It's special to get up here.
Yeah, I come to a lot of races here when my dad drove, and man, I mean, he made this place magical to an Earnhardt fan, and me being one of them. So I might not have done it like he did it just now, but it was pretty damn close.
Well, he was in victory lane here 5 years ago tonight.
Yeah, we seem to keep on matching numbers somehow or another, but wherever he's at, he's laughing. He's got to be enjoying that butt kicking. That was a good race. I didn't think I had that good a car, really, but she was bad.
You going to celebrate? You going to celebrate?
Oh, man, we got Sunday off. We don't get that all the time. It's going to be awesome.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in victory lane at Bristol. I think he's happy, Dave.
Ryan Newman started 4th today. Fell as low as 25th, a lap down. Are you happy with 2nd?
Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome run for our team. We got more happy guys on our team than have ever landed on the moon, I'm pretty sure. But just a great run for our All-Tel Dodge. You know, we got caught there in that pit deal. Gordon slid through his pits, and I was kind of gauging my stall off of his and kind of blocked us in, and had to fight back. Got the old lucky dock again, and you know, just use a little strategy. And Matt did a great job with the car. You know, we weren't perfect at the end, but it was good enough for 2nd, and that's top 5 is what we needed.
No top 10s in the last 4 races. A big recovery tonight. Marty?
Solid night for Jimmy Johnson. And as they were unloading the backup car yesterday, would you believe me if I'd have told you to finish 3rd in this race tonight?
I believed it in my heart, and I believe it every week, even with the problems that we've had and the mistakes that I've made. I know in my heart this team's capable of winning, and I was a little upset. Somebody got into me on that restart there, and I lost a bunch of positions and had to fight my way back to 3rd. So too bad that happened, you know. But glad this Lowe's team is back in action. I got to thank my guys for working so hard. I mean, I put them through the ringer this last month, and then here this weekend in this hot weather, they've been working their butts off to get this backup car ready. So thanks to all of Hendrick Motorsports and Lowe's and all their employee owners, we're back on track.
Back on track, as he says, from 43rd to 3rd for Jimmy Johnson. Matt?
Unofficially, Jeff Gordon still holds a 24-point lead. You just about saw everything tonight on this half mile.
That was the hardest fought 14th place finish I've ever had at Bristol. You know, we didn't have the best car, but I think we had a top 5 car. But I tell you what, I'm on my way over to, what is it, the big white truck now, because I think they really made a big mistake on the call there for black flag me, because they, you know, I knew I was supposed to go tail end longest line. I waited for cars to go by me there. The inspector in the pit told Robbie to tell me that, you know, if they wave you by or they're wrecked, then you're okay. And so I'm waiting. I look up. There's nothing but wrecked cars behind me that won't pass me. And DJ went by me, and then I think he was tailing long side, so he let me go by him. And then Kyle Petty waved me by him, and I got in front of him. We took off, and NASCAR black flagged me, and that cost us a lot of positions. So I want to find out what the deal was with that. I can't change it now, but I'm pretty disappointed.
Well, he finishes 14th tonight. Go plead your case. Dave?
Jeff Burton, the best finish for the 30 car this season, ties your best this year at Dover. Jeff, how pleased are you?
A good night for us. This is a really good race team. We need to keep building. We're still not where we need to be, but we need to keep building. A great start for us. Need to say thank you to my trainer. I feel great. I'm ready to run another 500 miles.
Very good. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. So we've heard from 4 of the top 5 finishers, plus Jeff Gordon, and we look at the results from tonight's Sharpie 500. Elliott Sadler finished 5th. Remember what he said at the start of the race, how stressed out he was about it?
He's one happy camper. He will. He's probably the happiest guy there, except Earnhardt Jr., naturally, who's thrilled to death.
Kurt Busch's try for 4 straight at Bristol comes up short. He wound up 8th. Jeff Gordon, 14th. Mark Martin.
Bobby Labonte, 16th. Guy that was in the top, well, still probably in the top 10 of points, but closed it up.
Casey Kane, 21st place.
And Kevin Harvick will salvage a 24th out of that. Kyle Petty in relief.
Rusty Wallace led 79 laps, involved in a crash, wound up finishing 26th. And some of the drivers who spent considerable time in the garage with troubles during the race.
And Joe Nemechek, probably the saddest of this bunch.
And
almost made it
sorest.
Yeah, almost made it to that crash.
Here's what I want to say.
Here we go.
I'm telling you what, this is going to be unbelievably close.
Ryan Newman moves up 3 places, back into the top 10, displacing Casey Kane, who falls out.
Look at that. 2 guys are tied, 35, 35, 45, 45.
And 2 races to go. Wow. So it's next weekend, the California Speedway. Then 2 weeks from tonight, Richmond International Raceway, the 3/4 mile short track, the race to the chase. Very dramatic. The meantime, this evening was all about Dale Earnhardt Jr., who led 295 of the 500 laps in a dominating performance to pick up his 4th win of this season. Next Saturday on NBC at 3 Eastern, the NASCAR Busch Series race from California presented by Best Western. Next Sunday on NBC, 7 Eastern, NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from California. Coverage starting with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Under Siege 2 Dark Territories next on TNT. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is your winner tonight.